Comfy?
Thank you.
Your Honor, this is case number 228 on the calendar in the matter of Haas versus Terhune.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. Haas, was this the gentleman who was with you at the movie theater on the day of the incident?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Mr. Haas, the defendant assaulted you by spilling soda on your head in the movie theater. And you were injured. Your eye became infected. Something happened to your eye as a result of that. I read the defendant's answer, and quite frankly, she doesn't deny that she did it. But in effect, her defense is that you're a crybaby. It's no big deal. Is that what your defense is? Yeah, that's what I figured. I don't know how that's going to fly, but we're going to find out. I'm not going to start with you.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Mr. Terhune. First, I want you to tell me how old you are.
38.
You work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a technician on computers.
Tell me when you went to the movies on the day that you came into contact with Mr. Haas. What date was that?
I don't remember. He says it was the 7th of November.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What movie were you going to see?
Frida.
Good movie. For what performance did you buy a ticket?
The first one, like 11 o'clock, I think, or
in the morning?
Yeah.
Busy theater?
Not a lot of people that day, maybe 30 people.
Now, you arrived at the theater, bought your ticket, and went and took a seat. 30 people, so the theater wasn't full. When did Mr. Haas arrive?
Probably 5 minutes after the movie had started, and it just took him a little bit to settle in.
Where did they settle in? Right in front of you?
In front of me and down maybe 6 seats, probably.
Tell me what happened.
They were talking, and they weren't, I mean, at first it was like, we have our seats now and that kind of thing. But then they kept talking. It wasn't about the movie. They were talking about how they got there and things like that. They were just chatting. And people were staring at them. Finally, I said, please be quiet. And Mr. Haas turned to me and said, we're not being loud enough to disturb you. So then they were quiet for like 10 minutes, and I didn't care. If he had to call me a so he'd be quiet, I didn't care.
Okay.
But then they started again. And again, it wasn't, what did she say or anything? It was just chit-chat. So I got up to leave. I figured I'm not going to be happy here. There's no point. And as I walked past, I walked right past his head. And I had a big soda in my hand, and I poured it over his head.
Shh. Okay.
So then people laughed, and he jumped up and said, you're going to go to jail for assault if I have anything to say about it, and started running and carrying on. And I was leaving, and he was following me, and I figured he's just going to get my license plate, and he can call the police and tell them what a mean lady I am. And instead, I had this book bag. It was heavy enough that it carried books in it. It wasn't like a shopping bag or anything, but it was made out of like a plastic material. And he grabbed it and ripped it in half. I don't have it. I gave it to the police. I wasn't sure if I could take him physically, so I decided to just wait for the police to get there.
And they came and they issued citations to both of you?
At his insistence.
Okay. Mr. Haas, let's take it step by step. Did you arrive 5 minutes after the movie started?
The credits were still rolling.
I don't care what 5 minutes after the movie started, you arrived.
About?
Why?
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 Well, it was actually the right time to arrive.
Why?
Well, we didn't have to watch the previews.
Yeah, but people got to a movie theater and they settled in, and the movie theater went dark, and then you decide, quite selfishly, to arrive. If you said to me, you didn't mean to arrive late, we just arrived late because we hit traffic or the car wouldn't start or whatever, what you're telling me is you don't have to go in to see the credits and to hear the opening salvo. You just get there when the first word is uttered, so it was the right time. You planned it that way.
Yes.
Well, that's rude. Very rude. And when you sat down, were you speaking to your friend?
A few words.
Why? You've already been rude, arriving late. Other people are there. 30 people arrived on time, settled themselves down. Not only do you arrive late so that your big bodies are blocking the screen so that people can't see it as you're going to sit down in your seats, but you sit down and then you start to talk.
There were only a half a dozen people in the theater, and our big bodies...
What difference does it make? There were more than you.
and our bodies didn't block any screen viewing.
How do you know that?
Because there was only a half a dozen people in the theater.
Mr. Haas, so you telling me that your chatter didn't bother anybody else because there were only 6 people in the theater?
A word or two passed between friends isn't chatter.
I don't believe that that's what happened, Mr. Haas. I don't believe that. And I'm not even going to ask him because you didn't say, I'm glad we got here. Fine, I'm going to be quiet. You were talking to him. She asked you to be quiet. And according to you, you said, not talking loud enough to bother you. And you did call her a name. You acknowledged that. Is that
Yes.
right? Well, you're rude and disrespectful. I'm not saying that she had any right whatsoever to do what she did. But I want to tell you something. Most of the people who are sitting here in the courthouse today, as well as Bird, certainly myself, have been in positions where we've gone to the theater, we're respecting the rights of others, and some people who are totally self-absorbed, selfish people can ruin their good time by sitting and chatting because they just don't give a damn about anybody else, and that was you and your friend. Right?
I guess so.
You're damn right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's a passive-aggressive piece of you, sir. I'm not exactly sure what the diagnosis would be, but while she needs some anger management classes, you probably need a couple of good hours on a shrink's couch.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Haas claims his eyes were burned when Linda Terhune dumped soda on his head in a movie theater. Linda says Michael wouldn't stop talking during the film.
Mr. Haas, I am totally unsympathetic with you. I just want you to know that. You were rude, and she had it up to here. So, now prove to me, other than your wounded ego and your damp shirt, what injuries you sustained.
Shortly after leaving the theater, I had to take my contact lenses out that they were bothering me. I tried to call my eye doctor because my eyes were burning. It was over the Veterans Day holiday, so I wasn't able to see my eye doctor, until the following Tuesday. And then when I did go to the eye doctor, I was diagnosed with a chemical burn in my eyes.
Show me.
In here.
Are these 2 different office visits?
Yes.
I'm just looking for the date on here.
11/12 was the first date.
So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 6 days later, you went to the doctor for the first time. Is that right?
It was Veterans Day weekend and all the doctors were unavailable.
No, that's not true. Doctors are available. They're available in an emergency room if you have a chemical burn in your eye. So what were your out-of-pocket expenses, sir?
About $1,295.
Show me. I see one bill for $40 and one bill for, well, this I don't understand, sir. February 19th, 2003, you went to the doctor for $305.
That was as a result of not being able to wear my contact lenses anymore. I had to get eyeglasses.
That doesn't say that here at all. It doesn't say that here at all. Yeah. Don't buy it, sir. So you can take this back. Now, let's get up to $1,200 and some odd dollars. Where is that from?
In addition to needing to go to the eye doctor, evidently when the contents of her cup were dumped on my head and I jumped up from my chair, I sprung my back and went to the chiropractor.
See the groans? Let me see the chiropractor. While you're looking for that, Mr. Haas, did you sprain your back before or after you've chased her out into the parking lot and grabbed her backpack?
Well, there was no chase to the parking lot. This was a mall theater. She tried to escape when I was trying to call the police.
Please, was the injury before or after you grabbed her backpack?
It was before.
Okay. Now let me see the report from the chiropractor. Sir, these are just bills. You have a report from the chiropractor?
They're paid bills.
I'm asking you if you have a report from the chiropractor.
No.
No. Then you know that this is nonsense. So far, the only bill I have is $40 for your eye exam on or about the 12th of November. What else?
In addition to the chiropractor.
Chiropractor I'm not considering, so I don't know whether you sprained your... Listen to me, I don't know whether you sprained your back hopping into your car. I don't know whether you sprained your back or neck at all. I have no idea. When you come to court, you have to have a doctor's report. A doctor's report will tell you exactly what you were treated for, what you complained of, what your symptoms were, paid bills is not it. What else?
There was more to the eyes than just a $40 bill. How much is your eyesight worth to you?
How much is my eyesight worth? I don't know. How was your eyesight between the time that she poured the soda on your head and today? What has been the progression of your eye disease?
Well, I used to wear contact lenses all of the time, and after the incident where the contents of the cup were dumped on my eyes, I have never been able to wear contacts again. That's why I had to buy eyeglasses.
As I said, I'm not excusing the defendant's behavior. I think that she acted inappropriately in a juvenile manner, and I am unsympathetic. I'm also unsympathetic, sir, with your request for $3,000 in medical expenses and pain and suffering because somebody just got really annoyed enough at you and your rudeness to act out her worst fantasy, which was to get up and pour her drink over your head and say, you annoyed me and the rest of the people in this theater, and now I'm going to annoy you and make your life a little bit miserable, because all I wanted to do this morning was come and see a very good movie, and you destroyed that moment for me, you and your chatty friend, and I'm going to get even with you. And everybody here has had a moment like that. You had no right to do that. She also had no right to throw soda on him. By the way, did you ever at any time apologize to her for using profanity and calling her a name?
No, I would expect that she would apologize to me and be responsible for taking some anger management course.
What's the name of... Gee, there used to be a woman who dealt in etiquette. I'm trying to think. Miss Manners. She owes you an apology. She does. You owe her an apology.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Haas claims his eyes were burned when Linda Terhune dumped soda on his head at a movie theater. Linda says Michael wouldn't stop talking during the film.
Now, he had out-of-pocket expense of $40. I'm giving him 10 times those damages, $400. Now, there's a passive-aggressive piece of you, sir. I'm not exactly sure what the diagnosis would be, but it's certainly passive-aggressive. Because if you can go into a public theater and somebody says to you, could you please be quiet? And instead of just saying, well, I didn't realize I was disturbing somebody, turn around and curse them, and then continue to annoy them, there is some passive aggressiveness about you. And while she needs some anger management classes, you probably need a couple of good hours on a shrink's couch. That's it, $400 for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I think it speaks volumes to the lack of gentility that we now have in our country, where someone can assault you in a public place and skate as easily as Mr. Hune did.
The only thing that surprises me is that more people don't pour sodas on Mr. Haas's head.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Weber versus Crittenden. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Lisa Weber is suing her neighbor, Sarah Crittenden, for the cost to replace a car window. Lisa says Sarah's 7-year-old son, Zach, broke it when he threw a rock at her daughter.
Miss Weber, is this your daughter?
Yes.
And who is this gentleman?
My husband.
I'd like your husband to stand up with you. It is your claim that the defendant's little boy threw a rock and hit the window of your car, breaking it.
Yes.
Is that right? When did that happen?
August the 1st. It was on a Friday night.
Shattering the window.
Were you outside, sir?
Yes, I was.
Did you see this happen?
I didn't actually see the rock leave his hand, but I was standing right next to the window with my neighbor, and it flew right in front of me and hit the window.
Was it in the front yard of your
ma'am.
house?
I was in a driveway.
Is that where your daughter had been playing?
Yeah, she was out there with me.
So this is what I gather happened. And this is from putting together some pieces. Your daughter was outside playing in the front yard, and so was Mrs. Crittenden's son, whose name is?
Zach.
And your name is?
Ashley?
Ashley was trying to get Zachary to go home.
Yes.
Is that right, Ashley? You can come over and stand next to your father. And you are 12 years old.
Yes.
And Zachary is 7. And at some point, Ashley picked up a rock and threw it in Zachary's direction, where he was standing in a flower bed. Isn't that right, Ashley?
No, I was throwing it in the flower bed.
Which is where he happened to be standing.
Yes.
And it hit him.
He jumped in front of it.
It hit him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Zachary picked up the rock.
I'm speaking. So Zachary picked up the rock that you threw at him, right?
Yes.
And he threw it back at you.
Yes.
And that's the rock that hit your car, right?
I believe so, yes.
So what I want to know, Mr. Weber, where were you when your 12-year-old daughter threw a rock at 7-year-old Zachary?
I was standing right in the driveway talking to my neighbor.
Why didn't you stop her?
I had already told Zach to leave. I didn't even see with them going on there. My neighbor told him to get off the property.
Why?
Because Zach is a little bit high-strung. He destroys a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, a week before that, he pulled a knife on the same neighbor, told him to get out of the yard.
Just a second. I'm talking about August 1st.
That was
your daughter... I'm speaking. I'm talking about August 1st when your daughter threw a rock that hit him. Didn't you say something to her?
No, I didn't see it.
And you didn't see him throw a rock that hit your window?
I never seen it leave his hand.
Who saw that?
Me.
What exactly did you see, Ashley?
He just threw the rock.
What rock?
The rock that was in the flower bed.
The rock that you had thrown at him?
Yes.
Didn't you think you could hurt him if you threw a rock at him?
Yes.
So why did you do it?
I don't know.
I don't know either. What did you think he was supposed to do when you threw a rock at him?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Did you think a little 7-year-old who's much younger than you are might get angry and pick up the rock and throw it back at you?
Yes.
You did think about that, didn't you?
No.
You just told me yes. You mean you thought if you threw it at him that he would just run away and go home?
No.
Well, what did you think he might do?
I don't know.
Why do you think she should be responsible for your car?
Because the whole situation was, my daughter was trying to get him out of the yard, was chasing him out of the yard. He picked up the rock and threw it at her first and hit her in the arm. So she picked up the rock to throw it back, and he jumped in front of the rock. This was just what I was told.
Jump in front of a rock?
Shh. I don't believe he hit her with the rock, because you didn't say that in your complaint. You say in your complaint he threw a rock at her and she picked up the same rock and tossed it into a flower bed where he was standing. She missed the flower bed and accidentally hit him with the rock. Nowhere in here do you say that he hit her with a rock.
But he threw the rock at her first.
That's not what I'm saying. So he didn't hit her with the rock because you would have said it if he hit her first. Right?
Yes.
I think you have to watch out at your own house before you throw rocks at somebody else. The person who started this problem was your 12-year-old daughter, who should have known better.
That's not true.
Who should have known a lot better. She picked up a rock because she's bigger, stronger, older, and threw a rock at him and hit him with the father standing outside. And I don't believe he didn't see what was going on.
I didn't see what was going on.
Then you take responsibility and fix your own car window. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
This is a...
Yes, case number 291 on the calendar in the matter of Leal versus Ellis. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Who are you?
I'm a witness for my brother, Bobby Leal.
Mr. Leal, the defendant used to be your girlfriend, and according to you, she owes you some money for 2 items of clothing that you purchased for her.
That's correct.
And that you want back a piece of jewelry that you gave to her.
That's correct.
Okay, so tell me how long you and the defendant dated.
Okay, we were dated approximately 8 months.
From when to when?
I believe it was from September to May. That's when the breakup, May 21st, May 22nd was the breakup.
Okay, and when was the first loan that you claim to have made to her?
That was approximately December 21st.
Of what year?
Of 2002.
December of 2002. Well, tell me about that loan, sir.
That was for a Raider jersey.
A Raiders jersey?
That's correct.
A shirt?
No, it's a jersey. It's a throwback jersey. It's not a shirt.
It's to cover the upper part of your body.
That's correct. Now, I had purchased Oakland Raider tickets to go to the Oakland Coliseum and watch the Raiders play Kansas City Chiefs. Now, she wanted to go to the game. I have purchased 4 tickets. One for me, one for my brother, one for my sister. So I told her, okay, I have an extra ticket. You know, you willing to go? She said, yeah. Now that was the 21st of December. Okay, now the game was December 28th. Now she was complaining about how she didn't have a jersey and she had nothing to wear. So I told her, you can wear anything you want. It doesn't matter to me. And she goes, she threw a big fit, and I said, okay, fine, what do you want to do? She goes, I'll pay for a jersey if you purchase me a jersey so I can go to the game with you.
So
I don't want to look funny at the game. I said, fine. You're going to pay me back? She said, yeah. That was the first loan.
Okay. Now, what was the next loan for?
The next loan was basically March 27th. I loaned her a dress that she's supposed to pay me back for.
Well, tell me about the dress. It wasn't your dress, was it?
No, it wasn't. The dress that I purchased for her was a dress that she needed for a prom that she invited me to.
She invited you to her prom?
That's correct.
And tell me how it came about that you purchased a dress for her.
Okay. Her mother would not buy her anything for the prom because of the fact that she was with me, and her mother hated my guts. Why? I have no idea.
And you were her boyfriend?
That's correct, Your
and
Honor.
You had been her boyfriend since September of 2002.
That's correct.
And this was March 2003.
That's correct.
And she wanted to go to the prom. Her mother wouldn't help her out. So what did she say to you?
What happened was we had went to the school to pay for the tickets for the prom. Tickets, that was a gift for me to pay for the tickets. I paid for the tickets with my expense. Now the dress, she told me, okay, you know, my mother won't buy me a dress and I don't have no money, I'm broke. Would you be able to buy me a dress and I'll pay you back with my child support money that I get every month? I said, okay, we can do that. So what happened is I purchased a dress as a loan for Catherine.
Okay. Now, from December 2002 until March 27th, 2003, did she pay you back for the jersey?
She didn't pay me back for anything, Your Honor.
So after you made this loan to her, which she did not fulfill, is that right? You lent her even more money for the dress. Is that right?
Yes, but the dress was a loan.
And what about the jersey?
The jersey was also a loan too.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, sir. After she didn't pay you back for the jersey, didn't pay you back in December, January, February, March. She didn't pay you back, so you lent her more money for the dress.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what about this jewelry you want returned?
Oh, this jewelry was a symbol of our relationship, okay? It was two gold open hearts with a real fine necklace that goes around the neck, Your Honor. That necklace, when
did you give it to her, Mr. Leal?
I did not give it to her. It was a symbol of our relationship that was for
When
us.
did you give it to her? If you took it out of your hand and you put it on her neck, then you gave it to her.
I would say before the prom.
What month?
I have no idea.
So you don't remember?
I don't remember what month.
Shh. Sorry. Okay. As a symbol of your relationship, now the relationship is over, you want it back.
That's correct.
All right. Now, are you a witness to what?
I'm a witness to the prom dress.
Step up. Tell me your last name.
Guerrero?
Okay. You're his sister.
Yes.
What are you a witness to?
2 weeks before the prom, I had asked her if she had anything to wear to the prom, because I know her mom and her didn't get along, and they were always just talking really bad about each other. So I asked her if she had anything to wear, and she said, you know, Bobby bought me a dress, and I'm going to pay him back as soon as, you know, I get some money. And I said, okay. And so we just actually began speaking about other things.
Good. Let's see. Okay. Now, Miss Ellis, let's start with the jersey. Let's have, in 30 seconds or less, your version of the jersey, please.
We were at the mall, and he decided, oh, there's Raiders tickets I would like to buy. So we shopped around. He bought a jersey, and he told me, you know, if you want to go to the game, you got to get a jersey. He wasn't going to let me go to the game
That's wrong, Your Honor.
Did she interrupt you when you were speaking?
Without.
Shh. Did she interrupt you when you were speaking?
No, ma'am.
Then don't interrupt her. Go ahead.
He wasn't going to let me go to the game without wearing.
So you're saying he just bought you the jersey?
He bought the jersey. He threw a fit and made me pick one out. So I did.
Good. The next thing that happened was this gold chain. Do you remember when that was?
That was in March. I don't know the exact day, but it was in March. I got, for Valentine's Day, a card stuck to my front door that says, "Your gift will come soon," on it. You want to look at that?
Please.
In March, he went out shopping.
Okay.
He didn't say anything about it being like a promise
Whatever,
type
it's a
of
gift.
thing.
It's a gift. He doesn't get that back. Doesn't get that back to her.
That's basically the necklace.
Perfect. Now let's get to the prom dress.
I decided I was going to go to prom, and I asked him, obviously he was my boyfriend, so I asked him if he wanted to go. He agreed. He was all excited, hyped up about going. And
look at me. Look at me.
Sorry.
So far, you're batting 1,000. Let's not tell anything that's untrue.
I'm not.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This chick, this little girl, she cheated on me.
Listen,
hold on a second.
Mr. Leal. No,
Hold on a
Mr.
second.
Leal.
Okay, I work.
No, you hold on.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bobby Leal says ex-girlfriend Catherine Ellis owes for a prom dress, a Raiders jersey, and a necklace he says was a symbol of their relationship.
So you asked him to go to the prom?
I asked him to go to the prom. He agreed. He wanted me to look good. Obviously, we went dress shopping for about a week or so, and he found the dress that I actually got, and he purchased it.
You mean he found it without you there?
No. We found the dress, and he
You were
bought
together?
It. Yeah.
You were together? No,
yeah.
The question is...
No, it was not a loan. I never agreed to pay him back for it. It was not a loan. He was my boyfriend. It was, you know, the thing to do. And
okay. Did you ever have a conversation with Miss Guerrero, his sister?
No, I
about
did
the
not.
Dress? Yes.
She did have a conversation at my house telling me that my brother bought her a dress and that she was going to pay him back as soon as she got money.
That never happened.
I told her that he bought the dress, yes, but I never
that you were
told
going to pay
her
him back.
I never told her that I was going to pay him back. I wouldn't tell somebody that.
Okay.
If it
How much was the
wasn't a loan.
dress, Mr. Leal?
I got the receipt right here.
Yeah.
I got the pictures of the prom day with the necklace. If you'd like to take a look at that, Your Honor.
No. The dress was $86.37?
That's correct.
Okay. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Leal. I do not believe that...
Please?
Sit down now. The jersey that you purchased for her as a gift in December of 2002.
That is not correct, Your Honor.
No, it is correct because I say it is correct for the purposes of these proceedings, Mr. Leal. The necklace that you bought for her was a gift. You don't get those things back.
Your Honor,
I'm speaking. The dress, however, I believe she said she would pay you back for because I believe your sister. And I believe you to the extent that when you went shopping for the dress for her, it was your intention and her intention to pay you for the cost of the dress, not for the jersey, not for the necklace. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Ellis, I don't believe you that you never had a conversation with Miss Guerrero with regard to the dress. I believe that you did in fact say to her that Bobby bought me the dress and I'm going to pay him back, and you are going to pay him back. It's $86.37. The necklace, of course, is yours. What do you want?
I wanted to say something to you, Your Honor, that was really important. Okay, the time being that I was with Miss Catherine Ellis, okay, there's been times where I work graveyard shift, okay? I work graveyard shift every single day. And every single day that I was with her, this chick, this little girl, she cheated on me.
Listen,
hold on a second.
Mr. Leal, no, Mr. Leal.
Okay, I work.
No, you hold on. You have to put a period and get over your anger.
Right.
Listen to me.
What about the child?
No, you have to put a period, Mr. Leal, and get over your anger.
Right.
She broke up with you.
Right.
It's over.
No sympathy at all. That's correct.
It's over. It's
Right.
over. This is not a long-term marriage that you had. This was a relationship that you have, and relationships end, and sometimes they're better off ending before they become more serious, before you have a baby, before you have bills and things that you've accumulated together, right? I want you to start absorbing what I'm saying to you. You just want to talk. I'm not your psychiatrist. I'm not your psychologist. I'm not your therapist. I am a judge. I am here to determine three things. Whether the jersey was a gift, I say it was a gift. Whether you get the necklace back, that was also a gift. The dress, however, the cost of the dress was a loan, which I find she promised to pay you back. That ends your legal interaction with Miss Ellis.
And what about this?
Do you want? Listen to me. Listen to me.
Okay.
That ends your legal action with Miss Ellis.
Okay.
And if you are smart, you will end all contact with her. She will end all contact with you. You will go home with your sister, who is a little concerned about you. There's no question. I look at Miss Guerrero and I say to myself, she's a little worried about him, that he's going to fly off the handle. Don't fly off the handle. It's over. You will have another interest in your life. You will have another relationship in your life. Perfect.
Okay,
then you get $86.37 from her. Bird, I've had it. Say goodbye to these people for me.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Respect. Respect. That's all I want is respect.
He's jealous.
I have no sympathy for the little girl, and I'm just going to go my way. She goes her way, and that's it.
He's an idiot, and I am never going to date anybody like him again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Zook versus Brown. Step forward, please.
Computer business owner Carl Zook is suing 27-year-old bartender Kristen Brown for crashing into his parked car. Kristen says Carl is suing the wrong person.
Mr. Zook, would you remove that from the bench, please? Thank you very much. Mr. Zook, on what date was your parked car destroyed?
It was August 11th of 2002.
According to what I've read, your car was parked in front of your home, or not far from your home, and you were awakened by some loud noise. You came outside to find that your car had been severely damaged by a car that was white in color. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you saw the car pull away, and then the car came back again, barreling down the street and took off. As it turns out, I find that the car that damaged your car belonged to the defendant.
That's correct.
The defendant says that her car was stolen by someone. She doesn't know who. It's out of her control, and therefore she is not responsible for the damage to your car. You want her to pay for the damage to your car.
That's correct.
She says she's not responsible for the damage to your car. She wasn't driving her car when the incident happened. Her car was stolen. Is that what the case is about?
I don't know if the defendant claims the car is stolen.
The car wasn't in her control.
Correct.
She didn't have it.
Correct.
Okay. August 11th, 2002, where were you?
I was bartending.
What time did you go to work on the 11th?
I had to be there at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m.
9 p.m.?
Yes.
Who is this?
This is the other bartender that night, and we both closed the bar together.
Okay. So when you got to work at 9 o'clock, you were driving. What kind of car were you driving?
I have a white Acura.
What year?
94.
Where did you park the car?
There's a parking lot behind the bar.
Any other cars there?
Yeah, quite a few.
Okay, and what time did you close up?
The bar closes at 2, and then it takes us at least 45 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half to close down the bar. We have to count out the register, clean the bar, tip out the doorman, all sorts of stuff. So we usually leave about 3 a.m.
Okay, 2 o'clock, closed, 2:45, 3 o'clock, you're out the door. And what happens when you get outside?
Usually get in my car and go home.
Well, what happened on the 11th of August?
That night, I actually, right before closing...
Try looking at me right here.
Oh, sorry. Right before closing, I think I was starting to gather my stuff. I usually keep my car keys and other, lipstick, personal belongings on the back of the bar, and I noticed that my car keys were gone. And I ran out the back door to the parking lot and then noticed that my car was gone. Now, I had figured it's a really local bar. I have a ton of friends that hang out there. Everybody knows my car, and I just figured, one of my friends had too many drinks, did something stupid, took off with my car, so then I just asked the door guy if he could give me a ride home, and he took me home.
Mm-hmm. What information does this person have to contribute to this case?
Well, Peter can testify that at the time that the accident happened, I was still working, so that I was not behind the wheel of the car.
I don't even think that this gentleman thinks that you were necessarily behind the wheel of the car.
Well,
that doesn't mean that you didn't give the keys to somebody. What time was your car damaged?
1:55 a.m.
So she was working?
Yes.
I believe you were working. I don't believe that you are clueless as to who had your car. Madam, do you want to know why?
Why?
2 reasons. Because instead of bringing a witness who can testify to your surprise when you got outside and saw that you didn't have a car, you brought somebody who was going to just tell me that you were there. That was never an issue with the police, that it was you behind the wheel of the car. Maybe a boyfriend, maybe a friend to whom you had given the keys. And second, that you didn't report this car stolen, did you?
No.
Well, here we have your white Acura that's missing. It's in the middle of the night. It's your only means of transportation, and you don't call the police to say to them, listen, somebody took my car, especially since you just said to me, I thought maybe one of my friends who had been drinking or something took my car. Somebody's drinking, driving your car in the middle of the night, and you don't think that that's cause to pick up the phone and call the police? For those reasons, madam, I don't believe your story. The police may have believed your story, but I don't. Who's Tom?
That was my boyfriend at the time.
Well, Tom brought your car in to be repaired.
That's what boyfriends do for girlfriends.
If they drive the car.
Or just as a favor.
Or if they drive the car. Oh, good. I'm glad to see this police officer also finds that you're full of baloney. Brown did not want to file a stolen vehicle report. I questioned her about the facts and told her that I did not find her story credible. Wow. Good for you. I asked her if she was willing to take a polygraph test. She declined. The boyfriend was also offered to take a polygraph test. He also miraculously declined. Can I see the bills, please? I had enough. I hate people who don't fess up to their responsibilities. Is he still your boyfriend?
No, Your Honor.
When did he stop being your boyfriend?
Just recently.
Did he dump you or did you dump him?
It was mutual.
That's usually not true. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000, which doesn't cover the damage, sir, but it's all I can give you. That's all. Step out.
All right. This is case number 261 on the calendar in the matter of Tozan versus Griffin. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Tozan, who is this?
This is my fiancé.
And who is this?
My husband.
The defendant is your mother-in-law.
Ex-mother-in-law.
The mother of your former husband.
Right.
And you have children with your former husband. How many children do you have?
One.
Your mother-in-law had been very involved with your child. It's a girl?
Yes, ma'am.
And as a matter of fact, according to what I've read in her answer, your daughter lived with her for a period of time. Is that right?
That's correct.
How old is your daughter now?
She'll be 11.
And for how long did she live with Miss Griffin?
I'd say for a period of 6 to 8 months.
Is that right?
Almost a year.
And when was that?
May of 95 till April of 96.
Was that a court-ordered arrangement?
Yes, it was.
Because I assume your son and daughter-in-law had some problems that had to be resolved.
Yes, ma'am, right.
And you have had and enjoyed visitation with your granddaughter, regular weekend visitation. I don't know if it's every other week or once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month. Since she went back to her mother. So far, right?
Right. Yes, ma'am.
But then some problems arose. Your complaint is that your former mother-in-law called Child Protective Services, as well as the police, and made certain allegations against you, and you want to be compensated because you claimed those allegations were false. She knew that they were false, and she had no basis to make the calls to Child Protective Services. That's what your lawsuit is about.
Yes.
And Ms. Griffin said that she did have concern for her granddaughter, which is why she placed the calls. And she is counterclaiming for the emotional distress that she suffered as a result of the fact that you no longer let her see her granddaughter. I don't know if I'm going to even reach that because that should be the subject of a court proceeding. You were given court-ordered visitation, Mrs. Griffin, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go back to court to enforce your visitation?
Not yet.
Well, then I'm not going to entertain your counterclaim because the court may, in fact, decide that they're going to vacate the order. I hope not. Maybe we can deal with it today so that that won't be necessary. So without getting too emotional, I want you to tell me, Ms. Griffin, since you acknowledge that you called Child Protective Services, what caused you to do that?
I can't do it without being emotional.
Okay.
The day on July 11th,
Okay. Take a breath for a minute.
While she was at our house.
Let me ask you some questions and maybe you can compose yourself, all right? Was July 11th the day that you say this happened? Was this during a weekend visitation that you had with her? How did she come to be at your house?
This is how it started. Devin never gets to do anything because her mother can't afford it. So we decided maybe she needed a break, and we offered to pay for a day camp because her cousin was going, and they're close.
So far, is that correct, Ms. Charles?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
So we asked Robin if it was okay with her, and we would pay for it. But she'd have to come stay at the house for the summer. Well, it's 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks to camp. And I was supposed to get her 4 weeks in the summer anyway. Okay, finally she said yes, she can go. So that's how she was at the house. Well, my son had called. Now, he told me all his legal stuff was taken care of, but...
Your son, her former husband.
Right. And, you know, why should I not believe it, you know? Although I shouldn't have, but I did. And anyway, he called and he said they had an Akita that died, and we had an Akita I want to get rid of. Too big, too strong for me. So he said, Mama, we'll take her. I said, okay. So Devin was at the house, and she hadn't seen her dad but 3 times in 7 years. And she loves her dad. Her mama can't change that. She asked us if she could go. Well, we called Robin. David asked Robin. He said, here's the deal. We're going for the day. We're not going to their place. We're not spending the night or nothing. We're just bringing the dog. Is it okay with you if Devin goes with us? She said, yeah, I guess it'll be okay. Well, the next night she calls. She says she can't go unless I have a phone number and address. She said the only reason why she wanted it was because of emergencies. Well, she promised Devin, because Devin asked her, Mama, are you going to try and do anything about Daddy? She says, no, Devin, I'm not. And she promised her she wasn't going to use the information for anything, just in case there's an emergency and she needed to reach it. So you gave her the information? Gave her the information. The next morning she calls me, cussing 90 to nothing, cussing me out. Why don't you do some checking into background since you like to check into background so much? I said, what are you talking about? She says, Kirk still got a warrant against him. I said, oh, really? I said, well, I'll check into it. Well, isn't his girlfriend's ex-husband this? I said, no, it's not. That's not her name. Well, come to find out, the phone they had called from, she had Devin give her the name of the person that was on the caller ID. So I said, well, I'll check into it. And she said, well, I'm coming to pick her up at 4 o'clock today when she gets out of camp. I said, okay, fine, whatever.
Okay, so she wasn't going to let her go.
Right. So Devin, of course, broke down. We went into my room, and we were watching TV, and I was holding her because she was crying so hard. She was so upset. She goes, my mama lied to me again. I said, baby, you have to understand, your mom was worried. I said, you know, because your dad is still got a warrant against him. I said, he lied to us again. And I called him and told him she was not coming.
What's the warrant for, Miss Griffin?
Theft, all fields of theft. So I said, baby, I said, you're going to have to go. I said, Mama's coming to get you. I don't want to go. And she proceeded to tell us, you know, things like, Mama's been smoking, they've been smoking drugs at the house. And I said, baby, how do you know that? Have you seen it? She goes, Grandma, I know the difference between cigarette smoke. I've been around it all my life and other smoke. Okay. So I said, okay. I said, baby, you have to go.
You have to go home.
You have to go home.
So I still haven't
So
heard.
she says she came twice and knocked on the door. Well, I didn't hear because we had the fan on, the TV on, and Devin was crying, and I'm holding her, and I didn't hear her knocking. Well, I finally got Devin calmed down, and I walked out, and I heard the door. I opened the door, and she said, where have you been? I said, right here.
Okay.
So I said, why don't you sit down and let's talk about how Devin's feeling. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, she's upset because she feels like that you lied to her again. Too bad. She'll just have to get over it. She started cussing at me, yelling at me, calling me every name in the book. Devin got scared. Robin says, get your effing out here now.
Okay.
She opened the door, screamed at her mother, shocked me. True. She said, I'm not going with you. And I went, I mean, she just totally shocked me. And then she goes, Grandma, telephone. And then she ran back in the room and slammed the door. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. She takes off out the door to go call the police. I'm going to get the police to get my daughter. She didn't have to do that. Devin called the police before she left out the door because of Robin cussing and screaming and hollering at me. So the police called. I said, this is Mrs. Griffin. He goes, well, we got a call from there. And I said, well, my ex-daughter-in-law just left to go call you. I said, but... So I said, Devin, did you call the police? She said, yes, I did, Grandma. I said, oh, God.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, stability is the most important thing in a child. Is this your first fiancé since your divorce?
Yes. She's been married since my son.
Oh.
She's got 4 kids, 2 illegitimate, all 4 different fathers.
And later today...
You're entitled to wake up one morning, Mr. Fisher, and say, I think I've made a mistake. I don't think Beth and I are right for each other. What you're not entitled to do is to be a sleazebag.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robin Tozen says her ex-mother-in-law, Pamela Griffin, falsely accused her of neglecting her daughter.
When and why did you call Child Protective Services, Ms. Griffin?
Okay, because when she left, her mama sent her back in to get everything that she had at my house because she was never coming back again.
Okay.
She came in and she was crying and she said, Grandma, I have to get everything that I have here because Mama said I'm not coming back again.
Okay.
And then she looked at me and she goes, you know what's going to happen to me when I get home, don't you? And then she grabbed me and started hugging me.
That's why you called child
That's why I called child. No. Okay. First of all, I didn't call the police that night. I was so distraught. My husband called. Well, CPS in St. Martin Parish is not open 24 hours, and they weren't. This was a Friday night. So my husband said, I'm going to call because of what Devin said.
Fine. Got it. Now, Ms. Towson, I have just a couple of questions for you. Okay. I take everything that Miss Griffin says with a grain of salt. Generally, that's what happened. Generally, her son, who is clearly a deadbeat father who has not enjoyed a consistent relationship with his child because he's in and out of trouble and he can't get his act straight. He's probably got a terrible lifestyle. Despite all of that, he's the one you chose to father this child, and if the child has an attachment to him because every child likes to have a father, that's your fault. You picked him. Right. However, I want to know whether at some point you sent the child back into the house to get all of her things because you said to her, you're not going back to Grandma's.
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say?
She only came out with like a plastic bag and a small duffel bag. And upon her staying with her grandmother, I went and bought her several new outfits. That's what I sent her back in there for.
Now, she was still going to camp on July 11th, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she continue to go to camp after she came home?
No, she did not.
Why not?
That was her choice because we started adding on to where we live.
Well, if she would have stayed with her grandmother, she would have continued to go to camp. That was your arrangement.
Right.
So you chose not to send her back to her grandmother.
She chose not to go back to her grandmother.
I'm not sure that that's true. Who are you?
I'm Kerry Como, a witness.
A witness to what?
I just wanted to say that Devin was supposed to spend the weekends with us. She was only supposed to go for the week to camp, and on the weekends come home.
Let me explain something to you. You are a stranger to this. This has nothing to do with you. She is the only constant that this child has known since she's born. Not her father, and for a period of time, not even her mother. The only one who has been there all the time is her grandmother. We understand each other?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good. That would be a fair statement, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Ms. Griffin, you're in a difficult position. You were a parent for a short period of time to this child, but you're no longer a parent, you're her grandmother. And you probably feel as if you can do a better job.
I didn't say that.
Listen to me. You probably think you could do a better job, and it's very possible you could do a better job.
Well, she'd have more stability.
Right. Well, stability is the most important thing in a child. Is this your first fiancé since your divorce?
Yes.
She's been married since my son.
Oh.
She's got 4 kids, 2 illegitimate, all 4 different
just
fathers.
A second. How old are your other children?
6, 2, and 16 months.
And how many people fathered those 3 children?
3.
3 different people?
Mm-hmm.
Then, absolutely right, Miss Griffin. Your granddaughter would have more stability if she lived with you. Unfortunately, children don't get the opportunity of picking their parents. Do you think you're a good mother?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Well, I'm going to tell you what a good mother does. A good mother does what she thinks is best for her children. Not best for you, but best for her children. And your 11-year-old daughter needs to spend time with her grandmother. It's very wrong of you and very selfish of you not to allow and encourage your granddaughter to continue to see her grandma. It's wrong. And you've made a lot of mistakes in your life. I mean, I can tell that from your history.
I agree.
And the one smart thing that you did was to have her son as the father of one of your children because she's a stand-up person, right? It's the wrong thing. In any event, you have no basis to sue her for calling the police. You have no basis to sue her for calling Child Protective Services. Your mother-in-law has seen, based upon what you told me about yourself, numerous instances of what she might perceive as neglect. Certainly, 3 children with 3 different men floating in and out of the house is evidence enough of neglect for me, and I'm a grandma. She didn't call Child Protective Services then. She didn't try to get custody away from you then. The reason she called Child Protective Services was because the child made statements to her and she feared for her safety. And I believe probably legitimately. So your lawsuit is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She hates Devin's father so bad, so much. that she'll try and do everything she can to hurt him.
She thought I was an unfit mother. She would have called 8 years ago. She was mad, and she did it out of spite.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of String versus Pro Cop. Step forward. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Sturm, who is this little girl?
My daughter, and also my assistant teacher.
How old is she?
12.
Would you step outside, please? Because of the nature of these proceedings, Miss Sturm, I don't think it's appropriate to have your daughter here. If I think that later on I require her to come in, I will. Mr. Spinner?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Miss Sturm became a friend but was a dance instructor of yours. And you took a series of dance lessons from her. You were encouraged by her to enter a competition with her, and you were successful in winning a couple of medals at that competition, the two of you.
Right.
But that at some point she filed false allegations against you of sexual misconduct.
Right.
And you want to be reimbursed for all of your expenses that you had relative to that. And also, you want to be reimbursed for the unused dance classes that you took. And also, at least one of the medals that you received.
2 medals, Your Honor. 2 medals.
You received 2. You want either one or both. Ms. Sturm says that everything she said was true, that you did in fact make unwarranted and overt sexual movements towards her during the course of your dance and at other times, and whatever complaint she made about you was truthful and accurate, and therefore you're not entitled to recover. She also says that with regard to your dance lessons, the unused time, because you prepaid for a series of dance lessons, she told you that she had a no refund policy. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's her defense. So let me get some facts. How long have you known Miss Sturm?
We've originally dated in 1997. I met her at a singles dance, and we had a relationship that lasted about a year. And it was a kind of a rocky relationship, and then I ended it, or she ended it.
Okay.
And then after that, we both went our separate ways. She opened up a dance studio earlier this year, January of this year, and I went in about the middle of January. I congratulated her on her success in the dance business, and then I left. But I was in the market for looking for a new studio. I wanted to continue with my dance lessons, and I chose Miss Sturm because I knew that she had a good reputation for teaching dance. So I decided, well, I'll go ahead and I'll just try this and see what happens.
Okay, you went in to see her in mid-January to congratulate her. Then you decided you wanted to take dance lessons from her. When did you go back, or how did you contact her with regard to those dance lessons?
I started taking dance lessons from her in late February.
And what were the cost of these dance lessons?
She charged, for a set of 10, she charged $400.
And did you pay her the $400?
Well, originally I didn't do that. She has a $50 for one dance lesson a week. So that's what I did at the beginning. And then later on, I paid the $400 for a set of 10.
And had you been paying right along?
I was paying like for maybe a couple of sets of 10 before she denied her services to me. So I actually had done the set of 10 a couple of different times before this incident happened.
Okay. How many hours of lessons do you believe that Miss Sturm owes you?
Let's see, I gave her a check in June 3rd for check number 642 for $440 for 11 dance lessons.
Well, if in June you gave her $440 for 10, and was that the last money you gave her?
No, actually I gave her another $200, which was for group lessons.
Another $200 for group. So you think she owes you at least for 10?
$640 exactly.
Okay. Now, let me go to Miss Sturm. When did you make these allegations about his sexual misconduct?
When I did that, it was after I had expelled him verbally on June 15th.
Okay. And you made those complaints to whom?
2 different police stations.
You have a copy of the complaints that you made?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. Ms. Sturm, I have some questions for you, madam. I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
I've read your answer very clearly, and I've read every word of your answer, and I've read the police reports. I want you to specifically tell me the date, time, and place of the sexual misconduct that you allege.
It was June 12th.
What did he do on June 12th?
is when he lifted me up in the air and had his hand between my legs. And I told him to put me down.
Okay, that was June 12th. When prior to that?
It would be in the beginning of March. I would have to look at my card when I had lessons.
What did he do in the beginning of March?
He put his hand against my breast.
Where were you?
In my back part of my studio. I have 2 different rooms in my studio.
Were you giving him a lesson?
Yes, I was.
What did you say to him?
Why, don't do that.
And what did he say?
He just shrugged it off.
When was the next time?
Towards the end of March also was the incident when he first grabbed me and tried to kiss me.
Where was this?
In the second part of the studio, the back room, once again. It was just him and me in that room.
When was the next time?
Those were the incidents. There were various times we would be doing a routine when we were practicing, getting ready for competitions, and he would come up behind me and massage my shoulder, or we would be doing a routine and we'd practice a certain pattern because we'd go over and over, and he would reach out and start to hug me. And there was a lot of hugging going on.
Now, there was a time when you and Mr. Spinner traveled from South Bend to Chicago. And you traveled from South Bend to Chicago for the purposes of participating in a dance competition with him. Is that correct, Ms. Sturm?
Yes, it is.
When was that?
That was June 14th and 15th.
So am I to assume, Ms. Sturm, that the fact that he massaged your back in March, put his hand on your breast in March, grabbed you and tried to kiss you in March, put his hand up your crotch in June, did not discourage you from traveling with him on the 14th and 15th of June to Chicago for the purposes of participating in a contest with him?
I did confront him on the day.
I'm asking you a question. You went with him, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Now, what prompted you to make these allegations on June 24th, madam? Instead of in March, or April, or June 13th, before you went to the competition with him? What was it?
Okay, there was over 23 incidents over that time. You're right. I was putting up with it because, I'd tell him he would, he kept professing his great love for me. I do have...
Miss Sturm, let's understand each other. On the 15th of June, you told me that you cut him off. You told him that he was no longer welcome to come back and take lessons from you. Is that right?
Right. So I told him to get in the car and drive out of my life.
Fine. And you told him that on the 15th of June?
Right.
What did he do after the 15th of June?
Well, first he sent me this letter, Your Honor.
May I see it?
Yes, you may.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tell me what else happened, madam, when you went willingly and not in a state of bondage to Chicago with him that inspired you to call the police and report sexual abuse on the plaintiff's part. Tell me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Spenner says ex-girlfriend Angela Sturm falsely accused him of sexual misconduct and harassment. Angela claims while giving him dance lessons, Robert touched her inappropriately.
So what's wrong with this letter? This is not a letter that inspires you to make a report to the police. He's saying either I want my money back or apply the money that I gave you for group lessons towards private lessons. I'm disappointed with the way the weekend went. As far as he's concerned, you acted in an unprofessional manner, and nothing contained in this letter that I've read, absolutely nothing, suggests to me that it was an inspiration for you to contact the police. So tell me what else happened, madam, after the 15th of June, when you went willingly and not in a state of bondage to Chicago with him, that inspired you to call the police and report sexual abuse on the plaintiff's part. Tell me.
Actually, I was not...
Show me a letter. Tell me the rest. Did he come to your house to stalk you after the 15th?
No, he did it on May 20th.
Okay. Tell me what he did on May 20th.
On May 20th, he just showed up at my house at 2 p.m. and
2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Where most of my children were at home. I have 8 children. There were 6 of the children at home. He came to the door. My kids said, Mom, Robert Spenner wants to talk to you. And so I came to the door. I said, what do you want? He says, I want to talk in private. I said, no, you're not talking to me in private. You're going to talk to me in front of my children. And he says, oh, you cannot treat me like this, Angela. What are you doing to me? You're being so mean. You're being so cruel. And then he says, I can't continue to talk to you in front of your children. And he left.
Keep going.
Okay, well, first off, a dance student does not come to their dance
Keep going!
Okay, so that's what happened there. And if you want to go back to, you know, I have all these love letters.
I don't want to go back at all. I want to go to a place after June 15th.
Okay, after I received that letter. Okay.
After you received this letter, which you received on June 16th.
Okay.
Let me ask you, did you respond to the letter?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I took it to an advisor.
Took it to a spiritual advisor?
No, a friend.
Ms. Sturm, if somebody writes you this kind of letter, which is not a hostile letter, it's a letter of disappointment, it's a letter of frustration, and you chose in a very unprofessional way not to respond to it at all, and you've already told him, according to you, get in your car and get out of my life. Don't come near me. I'm not giving you lessons anymore. I'm not doing anything. And he says, you owe me money. You owe me money. You choose to ignore him. He comes to your house, and he doesn't want to speak to you in front of your 8 children. He said, I want to speak to you privately. And you say, no, you talk in front of my 8 children. And you know what he does? He does what a mature person would do. He leaves. So I want you to tell me what happened after the 20th of June, which is when you say he came to your house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. After the 20th, that inspired you to make a formal complaint of sex abuse to the police against the plaintiff after the 20th.
Okay. I was advised not to respond to the letter because the person was sad, was very angry.
Ms. Sturm, did you hear my words?
Okay.
My words were after June 20th, because so far I've heard nothing that in my judgment gave you cause to call the police and to notify 2 different police officers that he had sexually abused you. So I want you to tell me, what was it after June 20th when he came to your home to talk to you about the problem, the lessons, the money, whatever, and did not behave in any aberrant way? What happened after June 20th that inspired you to go to the police? You have a window of 4 days, madam. Did anything happen?
Right, he kept contacting me after I told him to leave me alone.
Tell me when he contacted you after June 20th.
He sent the letters, and he also called my house on June 23rd, my son Matthew Price.
Just a second. He called your house on June 23rd?
Yes.
Did he speak to you?
No.
Who did he speak to?
My son Matthew Pryke.
Did you call the house on June 23rd, sir? Just answer me yes or no.
Yes, I did.
And did you speak to her son?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to him?
Actually, when I called her, when I called her house, I was looking at my phone bill, and when you dialed *69, it shows the return that whoever who called you. She called me at 2:30 in the morning, I must have spaced out.
Do you have that?
No, I don't have that phone bill.
So is that why you called her?
So I was wondering who called me at this time, and it just didn't dawn on me it was her. So I called the number to find out who called me, and that's all that was. When I finally found out, when I recognized the voice that was her son, and I said, okay, I'm sorry, and I hung right up. I had no idea. If I knew it was her phone number, I would have never have called.
What else? June 23rd.
He called my house on June 23rd. I called his business on 6/24 at about 2 in the morning because in the letter that you saw, Judge, he said that if I wanted to contact him about the lessons, to call him at his office.
So you called him at his office at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, because I didn't want to talk to him. I wanted to leave it on his voicemail.
I have that recorded.
Just a second. Now, I want you to tell me what happened as a result of her filing this complaint against you with the police department. Were you contacted by the police?
Yes, I was contacted by a corporal, and I voluntarily went down to the police station. He said that there was a complaint filed against me.
Were you arrested, sir?
I wasn't arrested, but when I went into the interrogation room, he locked the door behind me and he read me my rights. And he didn't say, well, we're not arresting you.
Okay,
but
you voluntarily came in.
I voluntarily came in, but he locked the door behind me.
I understand. I understand, Mr. Spinner. Was this the first time you had ever been in a police interrogation room?
Right, it is.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at a homeless shelter, and I counsel the homeless on overcoming barriers to employment.
Okay. When, for the first time, other than this letter, did you ever ask her for your money back or for
Yes,
your lessons
I've
before?
contacted the Better Business Bureau. There was several correspondence with them.
Can I see the letters to the Better Business Bureau?
And I also
please?
have a letter that I sent to her directly, certified mail. And these are the letters to the Better Business Bureau and their responses back. I tried to keep this out of court. I tried to be as civil as I can, but I tried to use the Better Business Bureau to help with this.
On June 25th, you sent this certified?
That letter prompted her to call the police and said that, and that's when that letter prompted harassment charges when I was asking for my money.
Now, the only thing that I haven't addressed yet that I just want some information are these 2 medals. Did you win medals with him, dancing with him as a dance partner? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
How many medals did you win?
3.
Where are they now?
1 is in the studio and 2 I have here.
Okay, can I see the 2 that you have here? Okay, these are the same. They're exactly the same. Is that right? What is the 3rd one that you have in the studio? Is that the same as this?
No, it's from Notre Dame.
So it's from a different competition?
Yes.
Okay, and was that on the same weekend in Chicago?
No, it was May 5th in Notre Dame, Indiana.
Okay. Suing her for $1,909.23. And according to your complaint, that represents money for filing these false charges against you, the dance lessons, and a little bit of aggravation, and the return of the 2 medals. Okay, now give 1 to him, give 1 back to her. Mr. Spenner, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I'm not getting into how many dance lessons are left, whether you gave her 12-year-old daughter a receipt. I'm not getting into any of that. As far as I'm concerned, the defendant abused the legal system and abused the police department and abused you by filing a false report that you had, in fact, sexually abused her. And I need not get into all of the details of how many lessons are owed. You are suing her for $1,900. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm giving you a judgment for $1,900 against her. I find her actions absolutely unacceptable. She used the police department because you were asking for your money back. Clearly, nothing that she alleges that you did to her in March, in April, in May, or even in June inspired her to make this complaint. She freely and voluntarily went to Chicago with you. She freely and voluntarily danced in competitions with you after all of these alleged touchy-feely incidents. And it wasn't until after she terminated you coming into her studio after June 24th that she filed these complaints. I am appalled at that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may. Yeah, this is case number 250 on the calendar in the matter of DePietro versus Rathbun. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Let's see.
Mr. DiPietro, according to what I read, you were going on vacation and you wanted to sort of redo your body. You saw an advertisement. The advertisement was from the defendant's company. It indicated that if you used her body wraps, that you would take instantly inches off your frame. You went to her, you got the body wrap, you were dissatisfied with the service which was, according to you, guaranteed by the defendant. You felt sort of intimidated when the session was over, and you did pay her. I think the session was $80, $85, is that right? But you got home and you stopped payment on the check. The defendant was furious that you stopped payment on the check, and according to her, after some efforts to try to get you to pay, she filed a complaint with the police.
Correct.
I don't know what the nature of the complaint was, but you were contacted by the police and told that a warrant was issued for your arrest and you should come in and turn yourself in. Did you go and turn yourself in?
Yes, I did.
And you were searched, you were detained for a period of time, and ultimately the police said to you that if you want this whole thing to go away, you'll give her the money, which you did, and she dropped the charges. The police let you go. You are suing her for the following: for the return of your $85, but that's a small part of your complaint, and the rest of your lawsuit has to do with the humiliation that you suffered as a result of the arrest, because it's your claim that the defendant breached her contract to you, which was a guarantee of success. You said that The treatment was not successful. The defendant has a counterclaim, I don't know, loss of income. It's a nonsense counterclaim. I don't understand her counterclaim. She'll explain it to me. So let me see how you found the defendant.
This is my evidence.
Just show me the ad. This is clear. Not only is it an offer, but it says that there is a guarantee that you lose 10 inches today, guaranteed, non-surgically. And this is what you saw.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me what happened when you went to see the defendant.
When I went to see her, also she told me when I called her about the ad, I was kind of skeptical about the ad, and I said, how can you lose that? And she said, oh, you can lose 10 to 30 inches. Check out my website. So I went to the website, and this was on her website. This says 10 to 30 inches. And it says guaranteed on there too. So she told me I had nothing to lose because it was guaranteed, and she told me, or my money back. So I made an appointment. Before the body wrap started, I asked her again, this is guaranteed. We sat down. She said, oh yes, it's definitely guaranteed. Look, you have the ad and everything. It was.
You have the ad. Listen to me, Ms. DiPietro. I don't want you to embellish anything. Do you understand? There are certain things that make sense, and there are certain things that don't make sense. You have the ad. The ad says guaranteed. Don't fabricate anything.
I'm not fabricating anything.
Yeah, okay. I'm just warning you. Don't fabricate anything about sitting down, getting the wrap, and talking about guaranteed again. Just tell me the truth. The truth is what's going to save you today. Do you understand?
Yes, I am telling the truth.
Okay. Then, you went to see her. And what happened when you took the body wrap?
She wrapped me up like a mummy from head to toe in these wet ace bandages. The only thing that was showing was my eyes. It was ice cold. She then proceeded, well, first she measured me, and she marked it where she measured me. And she had left the tape measure very loose when she first measured me. She was on the phone the whole time. She was measuring me, talking to some friends, laughing and everything else. And I was freezing at this point, the air conditioner's on, and soaking wet. Then she puts plastic bags on my hands and my feet to catch the water, and then an elastic. So now I'm walking like a mummy, water's dripping from me. Then she tells me to go exercise for almost an hour on an exercise machine.
What kind of exercise machine?
I think it was like one of those ski things, and then she had the steppers. She told me to pick out whatever I wanted, and so I did that for almost an hour. I fell off a couple of times because it was so wet. My feet, I had water dripping off me.
Got it.
So she said, the more you exercise, the harder you do. Oh, you'll get even more than the 10 inches. So I did do that as hard as I could. Then when the time was up, she put me behind a curtain, and they unwrapped me. And then she measured me again, this time pulling the tape measure very tight. When she was done, I said, so did I lose, what did I lose? And I looked in the mirror right away, I knew. I said, I looked the exact same way. I said, well, didn't I lose the 10 inches at least? And she said, no, you didn't. She goes, but I'll have to add it up, but I don't think you did. And I said, what? And she said, well, just go change. Never mind that. We'll talk about it when you're done. So I went and changed. I met her. She said, meet me back at my desk. So I changed up. I dried off the whole bit. I met her back there. And I asked her if I lost the 10 inches. She said, well, no, you didn't. And I said, well, then I'm not paying. And she said, well, you have to pay. I said, you told me it was guaranteed, or I don't have to pay. And she said, no, I waived the guarantee. I said, when did you waive the guarantee? I never heard, you never said that to me. She goes, oh yeah, I mentioned it when I was wrapping you because your legs are too thin. Believe me, my legs are not too thin.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have the right to waive the guarantee.
No, you can't waive a guarantee.
I wouldn't have wrapped her.
Pay careful attention to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle DePietro says esthetician Claudia Rathbun guaranteed she'd lose 10 inches with her herbal body wrap. Michelle claims Claudia won't honor her guarantee.
First of all, who do you work for?
I own the company, the Millennium Body. I am a licensee of a international company that provides these mineral body wraps. I've been doing the mineral body wraps for 3.5 years. I got involved in this business because of the results I obtained with the body wrap.
Okay, fine. Your ad says guaranteed. She says you didn't get the 10 to 30 inches that you say she was going to realize, and therefore she didn't want to pay you. Now, tell me about this waiver of the guarantee.
Okay. The guarantee is based upon head-to-toe measurements. There are 18 measurements from head to toe.
I understand now. I think that this is slightly deceptive. The advertising.
Okay.
Oh, yes, it is. Because when I look at that and I look at your picture, you see, and you said lose 10 inches, this lady looks like she's lost 10 inches around her waist.
Okay.
Pay careful attention to me, madam.
I am.
So when someone looks at this, they say, well, I'm going to lose 10 inches around my waist and my midsection. That would be terrific. What you're saying is, in the small print, which doesn't appear in this ad, you'll take measurement from the arm, measurement from the lower arm, measurement from the wrist, a measurement from the neck, a measurement from the bust, a measurement from here, measurement from the hip, a measurement from the thigh, a measurement from the calf, a measurement from the ankle, and all that is going to add up to 10 inches at the end of this wrap. Okay. When I say it's slightly deceptive, your picture is, along with the word guarantee, is deceptive. You have to understand that. It's designed to make it look as if you're going to lose weight and it's not going to be around your eyeballs. Okay. So, what I want to know is, when do you claim she waived the guarantee?
Okay. When Michelle met me, I arrived at my salon at the same time Michelle did, and we had a conversation explaining the procedure about body composition plays a part on whether one would get the 10-inch guarantee.
I don't believe that. Listen to me. I'm going to tell you what I told her. If you're trying to get a customer into your salon, you don't tell...
Sorry.
I don't believe that you told her on the phone that the guarantee really wasn't a guarantee. Not until she got there, if you told her at all. When she got there, maybe, if you said to me, when she got there, I said, well, I looked at your legs look too skinny, you may not get the 10 inches, but I don't believe, because common sense suggests to me, and my age suggests to me, that when you're in business and you're offering a guarantee and you got a live one on the phone, you're going to tell them, well, we made a mistake in the ad, there's no guarantee. So let's get real. She comes into this, you didn't tell her on the phone that there was no guarantee. Let's get to when she came into the salon.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you don't believe me in that regard.
I don't.
But there is the script that we're going...
No normal person is going to believe you that you put ads all over the place with a guarantee, and as soon as somebody calls you up on the telephone, you see how you're smiling? As soon as you get somebody on the telephone, you say, I just want to let you know before you come in, there is no guarantee. Let's get on. Let's get on and let's get real. You're a businesswoman.
It is not a miracle. It is not a miracle.
This, madam, is a miracle. Somebody can come in and get wrapped up for an hour and come out 10 inches slimmer.
From head to toe.
10 inches slimmer is a miracle. Is a miracle. That's what she came in for. She came in for a miracle. I mean, she may be a little bit of a wacky coming in for this kind of a miracle. I think she probably is a little bit of a wacky. Tell me about the guarantee and make it good.
All righty. We have them fill out a questionnaire which goes through how much they weigh, whether they're taking any medication.
Okay, I got it. I'll take a look at the questionnaire.
There's also a section number 11 which indicates target areas of desirous inch loss.
Let me see that, please.
Which is filled out by
Let me see.
the patron.
That's why I want to see it. She filled this out, but I see she didn't sign it.
She did not purchase a package.
She didn't.
Of wraps. Okay. So that's the instance when she would sign that. Because this is a program. This is not a one-time deal where someone will lose a size in one wrap.
No. That's not what you say here, madam. That's clearly not what you say here. Let me read exactly what you say here. I understand that individual results may vary based on body composition and body size.
Correct.
I understand that the written inch loss guarantee applies to the first wrap only.
Correct.
Head to toe measurements. So what this says in plain English is you are guaranteeing 10-inch results for the first wrap. And you signed it.
But I have the right to waive the guarantee.
No, you can't waive a guarantee. Only she can waive the guarantee.
I wouldn't have wrapped her.
Pay careful attention to me.
Okay.
If I buy a car. No, make it better. Bird buys a car, because I want him to pay attention. Bird buys a car, a brand new car. That car is guaranteed from stem to stern for 3 years. He has the car for 1 week. The car blows up. He takes the car back to the dealership, and the dealership says, we waived the guarantee for your car because we knew when it came off the assembly line that the guy who was putting it together was really not wrapped too tight. So we waived the guarantee. What do you think he would do? What would you do, Bert?
I'd take it to Judge Judy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle DePietro says esthetician Claudia Rathman owes for an herbal body wrap that didn't work.
You cannot waive a guarantee. Somebody gave you very, very bad legal advice if they told you that you can make a guarantee here and then you, not the customer, could waive the guarantee. And I don't know whoever did that, but they got their legal license and closed the cover before you strike school. Do you understand? Okay. So you cannot waive the guarantee. Now, she paid you. Why did you pay her?
Because she told me, she said, you have to pay me. And I said, but you didn't meet your agreement. And she said, oh yeah, I waived it. Didn't you hear me when I was wrapping you? I said, no.
So you paid her.
She started to get extremely rude. And then she said, you're offending me. And then she said, you need to pay or I'm going to call the police. So being afraid, I've never been in trouble in my entire life except for maybe a car ticket or something.
Did you ever say to her, you better pay or I'll call the police?
No.
No, of course you didn't. I told you before, Miss DiPietro. Do not lie to me. And how do I know she's never said to you, you better pay or I'll call the police? Because you didn't put that in your complaint, which I read very carefully. I told you, tell the truth. You don't seem to be losing, but if you lie, you will. Do you understand?
Yes.
Right. See, I told her the same thing.
But she is very intimidating, Your Honor.
She may be intimidating, and I believe she may be intimidating, or you may have been intimidated, but she never threatened to call the police. In any event, you paid her the $85, and then you went home and stopped payment on the check. That's what happened. Now, I want to see the complaint you filed with the police.
I didn't file a complaint per se to the police department.
What did you do?
When someone stops a payment or I get a bad check, we contact the local police department, the fraud unit.
Just a minute. There's a difference between a stop payment and a bad check.
Well, I asked the police department whether the procedure would be the same for a stop payment.
That's baloney. I don't believe that.
Well,
that's baloney.
Why not?
Don't believe it.
I asked them whether the procedure would be the same. They checked the general laws of the state of Rhode Island and said yes. So the procedure.
Let me see what the general laws say.
I don't have the general.
Then I don't believe you, madam, because it's common sense.
There's my email.
There's
my letter to Michelle, which was sent certified.
I don't care about your letter. You mean you were not asked to go in to file a complaint?
It wasn't a complaint. It was trying to collect the funds for a service rendered.
The police departments don't do that unless you know a cop.
That's exactly.
Unless you know a police officer, police departments don't try to collect. They send you to civil court.
No, Your Honor, not in the state of Rhode Island. Your first course of action is to send a certified letter to the person who writes a check that is not cashable or a stop payment. I've done this a few times with some bad checks.
Bad checks is different.
I've never had this instance before where someone stopped payment.
But you're going to listen to me. You're going to be successful because she played fast and loose. She told them she got a bad check and they brought
No,
you
I
in.
didn't.
That's what happened.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I believe that that's true. I don't see anything different from you, madam. Police department does not handle stop payments. Stop payments are handled by civil courts. Bad checks are handled by the police department. Somebody passes a bogus check. She did not. She gave you a perfectly valid check to get out of your establishment and decided to stop payment on it because she decided that you violated the guarantee. You did not get the check back marked insufficient funds or no account by this person. You got the check back saying payment stopped. That leaves you a civil recourse because in the state of Rhode Island, which is last I heard, part of the United States of America, they do have civil courts. They do have small claims courts where you could go to get it. This was just easier for you. Easier for you to follow the same procedure as you had followed before, which is you call somebody at the police department and says, listen, I got another bad check. So you're suing for $1,500.
Correct.
You're going to get it. You're going to get it. You did the wrong thing. What you do is if you have a civil complaint, you go to civil court. You don't call your local friend at the police department. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out. Counterclaims dismissed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Toda versus Fisher. Step forward, please.
Tammy and Stephen Toda are suing their daughter's ex-fiancé, 21-year-old security guard Alan Fisher, for half the cost of a wedding that never happened.
Mr. Fisher, who is this person?
My wife.
Is there any reason that she's here?
Because I want her to be with me.
Wanted to be with you.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Toda, this is your daughter, I assume. Your daughter and the defendant were engaged to be married. And according to your complaint, you secured a place and invited 200 guests. And the defendant came to you just shortly before the wedding and said he didn't want to get married.
Right.
You're not looking for that money from Mr. Fisher. You're just looking for certain expenses, a couple of $100, really because you're angry.
Yes.
When was the wedding supposed to take place?
June 21st.
Is that correct so far, Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
When did you marry your wife?
September 4th.
When did you meet her?
I've known her for 4 years.
When did you start seeing her romantically?
We've been seeing each other on and off for like 3 years.
Did Miss Toda know about that?
Nope.
Well, that wasn't fair, was it?
Not really.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tammy and Stephen Toda claim their daughter's ex-fiancé, Alan Fisher, called off the wedding at the last second.
I would ordinarily say to Mr. and Mrs. Toda, good riddance to him.
Yes.
He is dishonest, dishonorable, sleazy, and your daughter is better off without him.
Yes, she is.
But I'm not prepared at this point to make it so easy for Mr. Fisher. He's entitled to change his mind about getting married. You are entitled to that, Mr. Fisher. You're entitled to wake up one morning, Mr. Fisher, and say, I think I've made a mistake. I don't think that, what's your first name? Beth? Beth. I don't think Beth and I are right for each other. We've been together a long time, but I don't think we're right for each other. And before I make a big mistake, for both of us, I have to call off the wedding. You're entitled to do that, right?
Yes.
Right? Right. What you're not entitled to do is to be a sleazebag and to have somebody else on the side for years while these people are in good faith planning a wedding and spending money that you're involved with. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
That's almost like fraud. Wouldn't you say so?
No.
What would you say?
Things wasn't working out. And she knew that we fought a lot. I told her that I wasn't ready.
You had somebody else, sir.
Yes, I did.
You didn't tell her that.
She knew.
She did. You just told me 2 seconds ago that she didn't know.
She had to have known. How can you not?
Is what you're telling me that Beth knew that you had a relation? What's your first name?
Candy.
That Beth knew that you had a relationship with Candy.
She had to have.
What information that you imparted to her would lead her to suspect that you were intimate with someone else? Tell me.
I mean, we never spent time together, really. We didn't talk or nothing. She had to have known.
You mean?
Always come up with excuses of why I couldn't come see her and that.
So what you're telling me is, I'm going to enjoy this. I didn't think this was just cut and dry,
Yeah,
but
when
you
you
know.
live with
Shh, quiet. This is going to be better than your $200. I want you to trust me on this one. You mean you would make up excuses to her why you couldn't see her? Is that what you just said to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me an excuse.
She wanted me to come see her. I told her I had to work.
And when you said, I have to work, you had a job. When you
Right.
told her to have to work, you had a job at the time.
Right.
So what was it that you said that would lead her to suspect that you were lying?
Nothing really. Just told her that I had to work.
Mr. and Mrs. Toda, you're not entitled to any money from him. You planned this wedding. He was not to participate in the cost of the wedding. So there's no basis for your lawsuit. But I want you to feel good about this, Beth, because you found out in time that the man that you were going to invest your life with had a bad character. Now, you can change a lot of things in this world. You can change your nose, you can change your hairstyle, you can change your hair color. The one thing that you can't change is if you have a bad character. He and Candy can deal with his character. Do you understand? Now, I'm going to look at you for a second. Do you see how easily he said he lied to Beth?
Yes.
I'd watch my back if I were you. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Now, this is case number 235 on the calendar in the matter of Nieves versus Joyle. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Nieves, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of $160 for rent.
That's correct.
He called you, he needed some money for rent. He was a friend of yours, off and on boyfriend, so you loaned him the money. That was in what month?
July.
And he hasn't paid you back.
Sure. I never called her.
The defendant says that, yes, you did in fact give him $160 for rent. That $160 was a gift, and he never agreed to pay you back. You gave it to him because you were a nice person, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he has a counterclaim. Mr. Joyelle says that you threw his keys in a field.
Cow field.
What?
A cow field.
In a cow field. As a result of which, he couldn't find his car keys, he couldn't get to work, he was docked pay, and ultimately lost his job. So he is counterclaiming for $400. So I'm going to deal with his counterclaim first.
Okay.
When was this incident with the car keys?
Like May 30th or something like that. I got
May 30th of this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Before the rent.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't have money for the rent, because Roger claims my keys into a cow field. I didn't lose my job. I don't know where that came from, but I got written up. I have the slip where I got written up, and I couldn't work for a week. I lost 40 hours.
Why couldn't you work?
I got suspended.
Okay. May the 30th. Tell me what happened on that day, Mr. Joyelle.
Well, we were out.
Paper down. It's making me nervous.
We were at this bar, and she had happened to walk in, and I was with this other girl. She gave me kind of like the evil eye, you know what I mean, from across the room. So the next morning, she comes to my house, and she starts yapping about how I got to show her some respect and this and that. But she's not my girlfriend, you know. We just, every now and then, we'll hang around. And my keys were on the patio table. I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I'm taking off. She goes, you ain't going nowhere. And that's when I chucked my keys right into the damn cow field. And I couldn't get into work because I had no keys, and there's bulls in that field.
How far from your house did you work?
I don't know.
10 minutes.
About 10 minutes, half an hour by bus. But the way this bus schedule goes, I had to be in work at 5, and I wouldn't get there until like 5:15, 5:30.
You have to take an earlier bus.
Well, if she wouldn't have threw my keys inside the cow field, I wouldn't have to take a bus, right?
But you'd have to take an earlier bus if you
Well,
wanted
yeah,
to
well,
go
I
to
did.
work.
Well, I took the bus.
Good. Oh, good. Now,
That's how I
after
got
May
to work.
30th with the cow field and the key, by the way, did you finally find your keys?
Yeah, it took me about 6 days.
Okay, but you finally found them.
Yes, ma'am.
But you had plenty of time because you weren't going to work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Did you see Miss Nieves between May 30th and the date in July when she gave you this money?
Yeah, I seen her around.
Did you have dinner with her?
Nah.
Were you ever alone with her?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
What does that mean?
Well, you know, it's like casual kind of thing. Sometimes we hang out, sometimes we don't, but I'm almost positive we hung out.
I mean alone.
Yeah.
Not at the bar.
Yeah,
Now,
alone.
when you hung out alone with her, where did you hang out?
At the bar and then probably back at her house.
Did you ever hang out with her at your house alone?
Yeah.
Between May 30th and July when she gave you the money?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, tell me about the conversation that you had with Miss Nieves about your need for money for rent. Where were you when you had this discussion about July's rent?
We were at, actually, we were at one of my friend's house after the bar. We didn't discuss my rent. I'm just like, you know, I gotta go home. I gotta deal with this. I don't have my money for the rent. She's like, I'm financially secure this month or something like that. She goes, I'd like to help you out. I'm like, cool. That was it. And the only time she bring up that I owed her money is because when I was she seen me with this other girl. I started seeing this other girl, and that's when all this came about.
Yes, go ahead.
That story has more BS than the Caulfills he's referring to. First of all, I don't know anything about keys. As a matter of fact, I remember...
I'm not interested in the keys.
Okay,
His
well...
countersuit is...
Okay.
Pay careful attention to me. His counterclaim is nonsense. Because if he was truly concerned, angry, felt as if you had done something that caused him to be suspended, then he wouldn't have seen you between May 30th and July. And he would have sued you, which he didn't. And he wouldn't have taken money from you, whether a gift or a loan. So I'm dismissing your counter.
So why wouldn't I take the money from
Listen to me. I'm dismissing your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get to your version of how it came about that you parted with $160.
I left work one afternoon, I checked my cell phone, and I got 2 messages from the defendant. When I got home, I realized that he left another 2 messages. When I returned his call, he asked for a favor, and when I asked what it was, he said that he needed to borrow some money to pay his rent.
I never said
and of
that.
course,
That's a lie.
And of course, I was hesitant to do so, but he continued to say that his brother was going to give him the money that Friday. And I told him that I would loan him the money only under the condition that his brother was paying him and he would pay me with that money.
Okay. What date did you actually hand him the money?
July 21st. I have a photocopy of the ATM receipt.
And when did you ask him for the money back?
That Friday, July 21st.
Well, he said he was going to get money, according to you, on Friday.
Well, yes, he was going to get money from his brother, which in turn he was going to give it to me. So,
That's the truth. I never mentioned my... She's lying.
So Friday came and went. He never called me. That Saturday, I went down to the restaurant where he works. I told him I was very disappointed that I didn't hear from him. He said that he had to pull some double shift or something and he didn't have time, that he was planning to call me. I asked when I was going to get paid. He asked me to return to the restaurant that evening at closing time, and he could only pay me $50 at that time. And I was a little upset because that wasn't our agreement. I left. I came back at closing time. I asked a coworker to let him know that I was there, and I found out that he already left the premises. So I let things go, let things cool down. I waited a couple of weeks or so. Well, one Thursday, which was, I believe, was August 7th, I was with a girlfriend. We went to the restaurant, and I asked him at that point, when he was planning to pay me back. He was avoiding me by, busting the tables and just walking away from me, and I was getting really frustrated at that point.
How are you avoiding you?
Miss Joyelle, one person talks at a time.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So anyway, he avoided me, and I said, I want to know when I'm going to get paid. He says, well, why don't you stop by my house that Sunday? And I said, what's going to happen on Sunday? And he became really irritated, and he said, just stop by my house. I said, I want to know what's going to happen on Sunday. And he said, just leave me alone, or I'll have you thrown out of the restaurant. And that's pretty much all of it in a nutshell.
First of all, she's lying, okay? Because this is the guy she said, the co-worker that she was talking about.
No, that wasn't him.
That's him. What the
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I know her. If there was the money, I'd assume that she'd probably be like, you know when he's going to give me this money or something.
Sit down.
And later today,
Somebody told her that there was a dent in her car, and she didn't go downstairs to look at it.
No.
Is everything that you've told me as truthful as the fact that you don't drive this uninsured car?
Yes, Your Honor.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Madeline Nieves says former friend Stephen Joyle owes for an unpaid loan for rent. Stephen says Madeline flipped out when she saw him with another woman.
What is she lying about, sir?
There was never nothing about paying back. She knew that I was low on rent, and she said she'd like to help me out. So I was like, okay. And she had took me on trips before, take me out, got me loaded, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So she took me to Martha's Vineyard. She took me to
Martha's Vineyard.
I'm not
Miss Nieves, don't interrupt him.
Right. The only reason why she's saying that I owe her money is because she's all upset because I'm with this other chick, and that's it.
How old are you?
And she never said nothing about money or anything like that.
How old are you?
Huh?
This is not a hard question. They get harder.
How old am I? 29.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a waiter and busser and bar back at a house.
That is a 3-meal-a-day restaurant?
Restaurant, bar, comedy show. Maybe stop by sometime. I know you live in Connecticut.
What?
Nothing. I said maybe you might want to stop by. I'll hook you up. Free comedy show.
What an idiot. Miss Nieves, how old are you?
I'm 35. Can you please ask his witness about the evening that I went to the restaurant to ask for the money the first time, the same evening that he asked me to return, and he wasn't there. The witness there, Josh, was at the restaurant, and I asked if he's seen him, and he said no.
What day was that? Was that
That
Friday?
was July 26th.
Josh, up here, up here. What do you do at the restaurant?
I am a server at the restaurant.
You don't want to offer me a free night out, do you?
No.
Josh, that's a very wise idea.
Thank you.
But I want you to listen to me very carefully because my question's really not hard. Do you recall Miss Nieves coming into the restaurant to inquire about the whereabouts of Mr. Joyal and her money?
She never mentioned money at all.
What did she say?
She came in, she was like, is Steve here? Steve had gotten off probably like a half hour before she had arrived at the restaurant.
Okay.
She never said anything about money.
To you? She didn't say anything to you about money?
But I've known her for about 6 months, so she's an acquaintance through Steve. I've been over to her house as well with Steve. I know her. So if there was the money, I'd assume that she'd probably be like, you know when he's going to give me this money or something to the sort.
Was I angry?
Sit down.
I just got booted.
Mr. Joyal, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Excuse me?
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know.
Have you thought about it?
No.
Your life is half over.
Hey, take it easy.
No, life's half over. You got to think about what you want to be. One thing you don't want to be is you don't want to be a bum.
Yeah, that's true.
Too late, Your Honor.
Miss Nieves, you're going to talk yourself into a dismissal. Do you understand?
I understand.
Fresh mouths don't go here. I don't care what side of the bench you're on.
I apologize.
Well, we was allowed to have a fresh mouth. Men who are bums take money from women who like them and who they have no feelings for because they're users. That makes a man a bum. Do you understand?
Sure.
You don't want to be a bum, do you?
Not a bum.
You don't want to be a bum, do you?
Nope.
Good. Then you're going to give Miss Nieves back $160 and you will walk away from this relationship with your head held high and say, she helped me out, but I'm going to do the right thing, and the right thing is to pay her back. That way she doesn't have any hard feelings, and I'm going to be a man instead of a bum. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. That's all. And you two can leave, Josh.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess the judge didn't believe what I was saying. I think maybe asking her to go to the comedy show was kind of a wrong move.
I guess the judge can identify a liar when she hears one.
You never try to be funny in front of Judge Judy? That don't work.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Scarfuto versus Mahoney. Step forward.
20-year-old student Courtney Scarfuto is suing her boyfriend's roommate, 20-year-old florist Lacey Mahoney, for backing into her car.
Miss Scarfuto, is your boyfriend here? Where is he?
He's right here.
Was this your roommate?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he still your roommate?
Yes.
Okay, according to your complaint, you were over at your boyfriend's home and you claim that the defendant hit your car as she was pulling out of the driveway. Your insurance paid for the damage to your car, but you suffered out-of-pocket expenses, $500 deductible, you had to rent a car for a couple of days while they fixed it, and you also want her to be responsible for the increased insurance premiums that you're going to have to pay. Forget that part of it. Miss Mahoney says she never hit your car. When was your car damaged?
June 10th, 2003.
And what makes you think Miss Mahoney did it?
She came upstairs, asked me to move my car. I asked Christian to move my car for me. He went downstairs.
With her?
Correct. At that time, she told him that she had hit my car.
Oh, you weren't there?
No.
Step up. Last name?
Whiteley.
Okay, let's go to June 10th. Miss Mahoney comes upstairs where you are, and she said what to you?
She pointed out the damage. She said that she had hit the car and that she was unsure whether or not that she should stay there and admit to the mistake or whether she should go ahead and pull around the car and just simply leave.
And what did you tell her?
I told her that it would be best for her to go back upstairs and to notify my girlfriend, Your Honor.
And she said?
After hesitation, she agreed and we went back upstairs.
And what happened when you got upstairs?
Me and Lacey basically reported that the car had got hit by her, even though it was parked. We all agreed that we would go ahead and handle the situation by tomorrow because we're good friends, Your Honor.
And can I speak? And because she did not carry car insurance. And so since she did not carry car insurance, that
How do you not have insurance? How do you drive without insurance?
Your Honor,
I wasn't driving. I was actually moving my car backwards so that we could open up the garage door. But it was on my property in my driveway. I was just moving it.
Driving. Why doesn't your car have insurance?
Because I couldn't afford insurance at the time.
So you're not driving at all? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I'm not driving at all.
Is that true?
No.
Of course not. They seem to say that you admitted hitting her car.
Your Honor, I never admitted to hitting her car. I went downstairs for Christian to move the car. We both went downstairs. And he noticed the dent and asked if I had done it, and I said no. We went back upstairs, and he told her that there was a dent in her car, and nothing was said for the rest of the night.
That doesn't sound right to me. Somebody told her that there was a dent in her car, and she didn't go downstairs to look at it?
No.
Nobody said anything? Well, who did it? Is everything that you've told me, Miss Mahoney, as truthful as the fact that you don't drive this uninsured car?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't drive my car because it's uninsured and because it's unregistered.
No, you shouldn't drive your car because it's uninsured and not registered. That doesn't mean you don't drive it. Okay. You had a $500 deductible?
Yes. Would you like to see the receipt?
You have any other witnesses that you want
yes,
to hear?
Yes, I do. I have Mr. Nicholas Scandalius. He actually heard her say, he was in the room with both Christian and I.
Oh, step up.
And she actually came up and said, I hit your car. Okay.
Are you another roommate?
No, I'm a very close friend of Mr. Whiteley's. I'm his best friend. I happened to be there at the night that the incident occurred.
Tell me what you remember.
All three of us were hanging out upstairs. Courtney asked Christian to move the car so Lacey could back out and leave. They both went down.
Back out and leave. Where was she going?
I have no idea.
Do you know where she was going?
I believe that she was just going to go to Huntington Beach like usual.
Go ahead.
So they both went downstairs to move the cars and whatnot. Lacey's car was directly in front of Miss Scarfuto's car in a driveway, so there's no way she could have left to right or anything. They promptly both came back upstairs very quickly, and Lacey said, "Oh my God, Courtney, I hit your car." I walked over to the windows, I saw a little dent in the hood, and Lacey's car was still behind Miss Scarfuto's car. That's what I saw, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Sit down. I see the deductible, please, and the damage to the car.
And then these photographs are Lacey's car with the spare tire, which damaged my hood. Pictures of my hood with the imprint of her spare tire, as well as the driveway.
How long did it take to fix the car?
It took 10 days, times $23.99.
So between the $500 deductible and the rental car for the days that it took to fix your car, it was $922. What else?
I'm requesting the money that the insurance paid as well, because I do not believe that Lacey should benefit from the insurance that I pay every month.
Baloney.
Okay.
That's what insurance is for. Ms. Scarfuto. What?
I didn't hit the car.
Yes,
and
you did.
Honestly.
Yes, you did.
No.
You didn't hit the car, and you weren't going to leave in your car.
No, I was
You were
not.
just moving it.
No.
And you don't drive your car ever.
No.
Because it's not registered and you have no insurance.
Yes.
I don't believe you. Can you think of any reason why these two people and this gentleman would lie?
Courtney has been jealous of me and Christian.
I don't want to hear her jealous. Him.
Because Christian is Courtney's boyfriend.
Right.
And Courtney throws a fit when she doesn't get her way.
And what about him?
Nick is Christian's best friend. And
so everybody's ganging up against you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $922. Thank you. That's all. Step out.
Yes, case number 255 on the calendar in the matter of Connolly versus White. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Thaddeus, is that right?
Yes.
How old are you, Thaddeus?
I'm 26.
So you were 25 when you rented this hotel room and vandalized it, is that right?
That is correct.
What kind of work do you do, Thaddeus?
I'm a cook.
How long have you been a cook at the place where you're currently employed?
I'm not employed at this moment, actually.
So you do nothing?
No. I'm a little injured right now. I can't work.
What's the nature of your injury?
Well, because I work with my hands. I got a dislocated finger. I can't.
How long have you had a dislocated finger?
About a week and a half, 2 weeks.
And prior to that, where were you working, Thaddeus?
I was working at Sylvester's in Los Osos, California.
Could you stand still?
Oh, yeah.
According to Miss Connolly's complaint, this is what this case is about. Bert, I want you to pay careful attention. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible so Thaddeus can understand what the case is about, okay?
Okey doke.
Thaddeus, another woman, and Miss Connolly were in a hotel room. Mr. White, that's Thaddeus over here, he had rented the hotel room. They all got splash drunk and wrecked the hotel room. Now, Miss Connolly was 17 years old at the time, but Mr. Thaddeus White and the other young lady were over the age of 18. They were, in fact, arrested.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. White.
Sorry.
Mr. White asked Miss Connolly if she could help out because the hotel was prepared to drop the charges if the people who done vandalized the property paid for it.
Oh.
Got it?
Sounds good.
Mr. White, despite the fact that he had more years, less brains, but more years than the other two, he said to Miss Connolly, I will give you back the money, half of it, and the other lady, what was her name?
Her name is Vanessa.
Vanessa is going to give you back the other half. So Miss Connolly said, well, I was there too, and I wasn't arrested because I was only 17. They let me off the hook. Miss Connolly said, I'm going to cash in all the money I have in the world, a CD, so that I can give you the money so we can pay off the hotel, and then it'll all be neat. So far, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Mr. White paid back
I
how
gave
much?
her $400.
Leaving how much on the debt to Miss Connolly?
$1,200.
Is that right, Miss Connolly?
Yes, at the time it was correct.
But then Vanessa, the elusive Vanessa, left the jurisdiction. So Miss Connolly said to Thaddeus, well, she left the jurisdiction, you got to pay her half too, right?
That is true.
Mr. White said, well, if that's what you have to say, I'm not paying anything. I'm not paying the $1,200 that I owe you, or I'm not paying her money either. Isn't that what you said?
Pretty much.
Now, just a couple of background questions so that I understand the nature of your stupidity.
Okay.
You rented this room when?
Around June 2nd.
What did you rent it for, Thaddeus?
To stay in a couple days as in between moving.
So you needed a place to stay?
Yeah.
And was this a hotel or a motel?
Yeah.
It's hotel.
Hotel.
Only your finger was injured, is that right?
Well, as far as I know. Did have a terrible skateboarding accident, kind of hit my face. I could have done some damage.
Okay. So you rented the hotel, motel to stay in. You stayed there for a couple of days. When did you invite Miss Connolly and Vanessa to join you?
Actually, she came with one of my co-workers that I worked with at Pizza Port.
Who provided the alcohol?
I provided my own alcohol. She came with alcohol herself.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Anyway, everybody got drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And you vandalized the hotel?
Yes, we did.
Any particular reason for that?
Drunken stupidity, I guess.
Well, that's honest. Where do you live now?
I live in Morro Bay, California.
With whom?
My parents.
How long have you lived with your parents?
I just moved back to Morro Bay in April.
They must be thrilled.
Oh, they love me. What can I say?
When did you make your first payment, Thaddeus?
I think it was on the first paycheck I got from my work.
Why did you stop making payments, Thaddeus?
I never knew how to get a hold of her.
I came into your work like every single day.
Look,
No, you
don't
didn't.
talk to him, talk to me.
Well, I went into his work.
Every
because
time I had the money,
boyfriend
she was
at the
never
time-
around.
You didn't have
Don't talk
any.
to him.
Thad didn't have any identification, so he couldn't even go to the bank and cash his checks. So he had to go to the bank with his boss, and it was a big deal. Half the time the bank wouldn't cash it. It's not my responsibility that he has no identification and he can't go about getting money. So every time I went in, he's like, "Oh, hold
He's
on."
25?
Yes.
And he doesn't have any money?
Oh no, I lost my wallet. I didn't have ID to cash my checks with.
What ID did you have in your wallet?
My California identification card?
How long were you without it?
I don't know. Close to 6 months.
Do you have a driver's license?
Not at the moment.
Why not?
A little trouble.
What kind of trouble?
I got a DUI a while ago.
When?
I'm not really sure. It was a long time ago.
That's why they took away your driver's license, Thaddeus? Because you had one DUI?
Yep, that's right.
No, Thaddeus, that's not right. I think you forgot something. You left out a couple of pieces to the puzzle.
No.
Did you go for classes?
Oh yeah, I did most of the classes. Then I moved.
Well, that's
and
the problem. You did most of the classes.
I didn't. That's why I can't get my license back right now.
You have to do all the classes, Thaddeus.
Yeah, I know.
Your parents must be thrilled having you home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
What happened to the car, Jennifer?
Andrew had been talking to his father, and his father decided that he shouldn't be driving. There was some snow on the road. It was pretty much dry.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Darlene Connolly says former friend Thad White owes for trashing a hotel room during a night of partying.
Miss Connolly, he doesn't know you for Vanessa. You have to go find Vanessa. You have to go find Vanessa because I'm not making it easy for you, madam, because you were just as stupid as he was.
Yes.
So you go find Vanessa, but he owes you $1,200. He acknowledges he owes you $1,200. He doesn't owe you Vanessa's share. Go find her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thad started out by throwing his shoes against the wall.
Cut back on the 151 or something, probably.
Then a very large and expensive wooden chair off the third floor balcony.
Pay attention more often when I'm like drinking or whatever.
And then pretty much everything else in the hotel room off the balcony.
It doesn't really matter. Everything's fine with me.
I was young, stupid, whatever.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Oleksiak Galgan. Step forward, please.
Real estate agent Jeff Johnson is suing 18-year-old Andrew Oleksiak and his girlfriend, 19-year-old nanny Jennifer Galgan, for damage to his vehicle. Jeff says while test driving his car, the couple had a wreck.
Mr. Johnson, son?
Yes, son Gregory.
No. You weren't there the day that your son Gregory gave them the car to test drive, or were you?
I was.
You were?
Yes.
Oh, then that makes it all the better. You want them to pay you, these two people, $5,000 because she had an accident with a car that you and or your son was selling. They came over to take a test drive. He got in the car, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You gave him permission to test drive the car, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor.
He got around the corner. He gave her permission to get behind the wheel. She had an accident and wrecked the car. Is that what this case is about?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's relatively easy. Give me the date.
February 18th,
What time of the day?
8:30 in the evening.
How did they get to your car? Was there a sign on the car, or did they know your son?
It was advertised for sale.
And they came over. So you didn't know them prior to this date, is that right?
I personally did not. My son did.
Oh, step up. First name?
Gregory.
Yours?
Andrew, Your Honor.
How old are you?
17.
And you?
18, Your Honor.
How old were you in February?
17, Your Honor.
First name?
Jennifer.
How old are you, Jennifer?
19.
Were you 18 or 19 in February?
I was 19.
Now, how did you know Andrew?
He had came to see the car prior to the day that that they crashed the car. He had came over to look at the car before that day.
So you didn't know him from school. It was just a business.
No, ma'am.
Did you ask him how old he was?
No.
Did you?
I did not.
That was a big mistake. Because at 17, he's not responsible. You have no case against him. You understand that? Well, if you don't, I'm telling you, he's a minor. And he is shielded by a law that says minors are not responsible for what they do. You know that?
Yes, I do.
Then if you know that, why did you sue him?
I think there was a fraud that was created when he allowed Jennifer to drive the vehicle. He had driven the vehicle once prior and had proven that he was capable of driving the vehicle. And then he somehow, in a period of 9 residential households, decided he shouldn't be driving a car without a driver's license and turned the keys over to his girlfriend.
Let me tell you this. If he was 17, 16, 15 years old and came to your house to buy the car, and you gave him permission to drive the car, which you had done before because he test drove the car before, and if he was in an accident in that car and got seriously injured, his mother would sue you. You would be liable. Do you understand that? A minor cannot be held liable for acts such as breach of contract, negligence. He wasn't even negligent. He did something that a kid would do. He said, Jennifer, you can drive the car. Is this your girlfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
But Jennifer's responsible. What happened to the car, Jennifer?
we traded places, and I started
Why did
driving.
you trade places after he let Andrew drive the car?
Because Andrew had been talking to his father, and his father decided that he shouldn't be driving. Andy thought about that, and then there was some snow on the road. It was pretty much dry.
Andy was talking to his father in the car after Mr. Johnson gave him the keys?
No, after the first time that Andy had driven the car, he was talking to his dad.
Okay, just a second. Jennifer, I just want to get it all clear. Andrew took a test drive on the car and then said to you at some point on the 18th of February, I would like to go back and test drive the car again to see if I want to buy it. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
And you said, fine, let's go. You get to the Johnson house and Mr. Johnson is there. Andy says, take the keys, I want to take the car around. I'd like my girlfriend to ride with me. Is that,
yes, Your
in
Honor.
sum and substance, that's what happened?
Yes.
Now, what I want to know, Jennifer, is when did this epiphany strike Andrew about the conversation that he had had with his father?
Oh, he was thinking about it the whole time. He was worried, but
well, just a minute. Was he
really
worried as you? Just a second, Jennifer. Was he worried as you pulled up to Mr. Johnson's house? Do you think? Just a second. You think he was worried when he pulled up to Mr. Johnson's house?
I guess.
And was he worried when he took the keys from Mr. Johnson and Mr. Johnson put the keys in his hand and Andy got in the car? Was he worried then?
I guess.
And was he worried when he took the keys and put the keys in the ignition and turned the ignition on and put his foot on the gas?
Yes, but then...
And was he worried when he pulled out of the driveway or away from Mr. Johnson's car and pulled around the block? He was worried?
Yes.
Okay, so this epiphany came to him that he could no longer drive this car as he turned the corner. Is that what happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
The epiphany came to you.
Yes.
You know what an epiphany is?
Not quite, Your Honor.
Stay in school. Okay, so after Andrew had the epiphany, I assume you know what an epiphany is. We give a test later. Andrew said what to you?
He just asked me to drive it. He said he...
What did he say? No, I want to know what he said. He didn't say. He said, hon, will you drive the car? Or, listen, I'm going to get out of the car now, or I just had my epiphany.
He just said, you know what, there's a little bit of snow on the road. I really don't think I should be driving. Would you please take over for me?
Why did you get in the car with him in the first place knowing he didn't have a license?
I wasn't really thinking about that.
You hadn't had your epiphany yet. So what happened?
I started driving. It was pretty dark. For the most part, the roads were clear, and then all of a sudden the road was covered in snow. This car started fishtailing, and it hit a tree.
And was it destroyed?
The front end was pretty bad.
What kind of car is this, Mr. Johnson?
This is a Mazda MX-6, 1993.
You have a blue book on the car with the mileage that you had on your car?
I don't have a blue book value, but I have an estimate of the damages.
The car's 10 years old. How many miles did the car have on it?
The car had
75,000.
What were you selling it for?
3,800, I believe.
How much was the car listed?
We had agreed to 3,800, Your Honor.
Why are you suing for 5,000?
The damage repair was in excess to $5,000, so if they didn't want to finish the transaction, we would have had to repair the car in order to make it saleable again. In its current condition, it's certainly not saleable.
But you agreed to sell it to him for $3,800, so the value of the car to you was $3,800.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Where's the car now?
The car is parked behind a friend's shop and not drivable.
Well, it's not drivable. Maybe Jennifer could drive it. She just bought it for $3,800. Right, Jennifer? It's your fault. You shouldn't have gotten behind the wheel of the car. You shouldn't have been driving with him. He had no license. Now, Mr. Johnson was probably wrong. He should have said to Andrew, let me see your driver's license, because I want to make sure you have a valid driver's license and that you're over the age of 18. Should have done that. What?
Your Honor, state of Michigan is a no-fault state. I'm not sure if you're aware of no fault, but in this particular case, Mr. Johnson's car was not insured. It did not have collision or comprehensive insurance. It had what they call personal liability and property damage.
Yes.
And in Michigan, we have the mini tort liability law, which enables somebody to sue for up to only $500, only to cover a deductible in which insurance would pay for. So Mr. Johnson should only be able to get $0 because he was uninsured, Your Honor.
Let me ask you this question, Andrew. Let's talk about common sense. The law is supposed to have a certain common sense to it. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if the law does not have a common sense to it, then it's wrong. Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Yes. Certain laws were enacted at the time of horse and buggies. That's no longer applicable. When was the last time you saw a horse and buggy on the 10 freeway? At the end of a trial, what's supposed to happen is the just and fair thing. You and your girlfriend deprived Mr. Johnson of the ability to sell his car for $3,800 because you were not honest with Mr. Johnson about the fact that you did not have a driver's license. Now, when you went back, according to your girlfriend, you felt a little guilty because you had conned him, because according to your girlfriend, you knew you shouldn't be driving. You knew you didn't have a license, which is the reason why you asked her to drive the car. She also did the wrong thing because you're right around the corner. All you had to do was pull the car over, park it, go back and say, the roads look bad. I don't have a license. I left the car there. I'm sorry. You chose not to do that. You chose to let Jennifer drive the car.
Jeffrey Johnson chose to threaten my entire family to kill us if we didn't pay.
I want you to practice these words when you're in bed at night, when you have a quiet moment. I want you to try practicing these words because I don't think that you've said them often enough in your life at the appropriate time. I'm sorry I did the wrong thing. 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 It was my fault. I'll take responsibility. I want you to practice that. You'll be a much happier adult when you do. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,800 against you, Jennifer. That's all.
22-year-old waitress Diane Grove is suing 33-year-old human resource manager Cecilia Alvarado for knocking out her teeth with a beer bottle. Cecilia says she acted in self-defense.
Order. All rise. This is case number 212 on the calendar in the matter of Grove versus Alvarado. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, Ms. Bro, you and your boyfriend and the defendant were in a local bowling alley. According to you, the defendant liked your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was an altercation. According to you, the defendant assaulted you by smashing a beer bottle across your face, causing several teeth to be broken, and requiring a substantial amount of dental work.
Correct.
You're suing not only for the dental work, but also for your pain and suffering and lost wages. The defendant said you started it, right?
No, she started it, Your Honor.
That's just what I said.
I know.
Pay careful attention. So, when was this?
August 22nd.
Of this year?
Of this year.
And what time did this incident occur with the bottle?
About 12:15.
When did you first see the defendant in the bowling alley?
Not until after I returned from the restroom. Ryan was at the bar purchasing a beer, and he was agitated.
At what time?
About 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And I went to the bar to see what he was yelling at somebody, and there she was. I asked her, you know, are we going to have problems every time we see each other? You know, can you grow up? You're 33 years old. And she proceeded to walk away, and we got our beers. We walked over to our table where our friend was, and there she was bad-mouthing me.
Just a second. What was she saying?
She said that she's going to get me and this isn't over, and, you know, I walked up to her, I'm like, can't you understand? You know, we just had a confrontation at the bar. You walked away. She proceeded to push me. I pushed her back, and then she hit me in the mouth with a beer bottle.
Where was he?
He was still at the bar buying our beer.
Stand up. Tell me your first name.
Ryan.
How old are you, Ryan?
I'm 20.
How do you know the defendant?
From like a general circle of friends, and you know we're cool. And
what does that mean?
I mean,
cool? I don't understand.
I mean, we talk to each other. We never had problems. You know, we're somewhat friends. And then me and Diane started dating.
Did you ever go out with her
no,
socially?
No, ma'am. And me and Diane started dating, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I can be so much better than Diane. You can live at my house rent free. I'll take care of you." And
had you had anything to drink before midnight?
No, ma'am.
Had your girlfriend?
No, ma'am.
Now you were at the bar. Had you finished purchasing those beers when this altercation took place?
Before I could even get them, you know, they were getting into it, and I ran over.
Just a second. While she was in the restroom, did the defendant speak to you?
Yes, ma'am.
What did she say to you?
She said, I haven't seen you for a while. What's been going on? And I told her, I was like, this is not the time. I said, Diane's here. You know, things are going to happen if, you know, you're talking to me. We already told you we don't want you in our life, so you need to go. And that's when Diane walked out of the bathroom and seen us and walked up to see what was going on.
And then she had this verbal confrontation with the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
After she had the verbal confrontation, where did the defendant go?
She walked towards the exit door where the table was, where my buddy was sitting, and Diane went to walk over there, and as she walked over there, you know, I was still standing at the bar. Then all of a sudden I seen security guards run over there. I seen them two going at it, so I ran over there. And
when you say you saw them going at it, what did you see?
I mean, like, I seen them face to face, and then I seen a struggle. That's all I seen. I didn't see the bottle or anything like that.
Now, can you describe to me your girlfriend's face?
When I seen her, her lip was busted. She's like, look what she did to me. These two teeth were broken, and this one just blood, and you know, and she was acting hysterical.
What do you mean she was acting? What did she say?
And she's like, I can't believe this is going on. I can, you know, just kept talking, working it up, and that's when the security guards pulled us off to the side and said, wait for the officer to get here.
What happened when the police arrived?
They took our statements, and then...
Do you have a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
I have a police report of the incident that happened at the bar, and also of a phone harassment complaint. After we left the bar, she called and left him 4 voicemails on his pager. We called the officer and had him come back over to my house to listen to the voicemail.
Okay. All right, Miss Alvarado, now let me have your version of the events.
Okay. My friend and my witness, Tanya, was with me. I was upstairs shooting pool, having a good time with my friends, and I was just done with my beer, and Tanya said, can you go down and get some more beer? And I was like, sure. I also have to go to the bathroom. I go downstairs, and I see Ryan off, not in the bar, he was off on the concession stand, standing there, and he turns to me and says, oh, hey, Cecilia, what's up? I never approached him, Your Honor. Okay.
Tell me what happened. Not what you didn't do, what you did do.
Okay. And so then he says, I just want to warn you that Diane is here, and she's wants to kick your. And
can
I then said, you know, I'm so tired of this, of her approaching me. I'm 33 years old. I have, you know, a good job, and I was harassed at work by her, and Ryan used to call me also at work. He would tell me to call him. Here's my pager, Cecilia. Here's my cell number. Call me. And no, and it's true.
Just talk to me, not to her.
Okay, well, anyway, and you know, I'm really upset about this because I have a good job, and I have the sheriff come.
I heard that you have a good job.
Okay.
You're 33 years old. He's
right.
20.
No, Your Honor, he told me.
Just a second. But you're 33. He's 20.
Your Honor, I was led to believe that he was 22.
22. Okay.
What does the age matter? I was stuck in a situation.
Let's go what happened to 822.
Okay. Well, as I turned around, there's Diane right in my face, and she just says, what the, excuse my language, but she was like, what the whatever, and I'm like, you know, I don't want any problems with you. I had my beer bottle. I had just a little bit of beer in it. I had it in my hand. And I have a scar, a permanent scar on my arm where she grabbed me, pulled me forward, and goes to hit me with the beer bottle over my head. And in the police report, it doesn't even state that I had also blood and a welt on my head.
It doesn't say that, madam.
Exactly.
No, listen to me. It doesn't say that. If the police who took this report were very clear, Ms. Alvarado, they observed, according to them, a large welt on your hand.
Exactly.
If you had had blood in your scalp and a large welt in your scalp that you pointed out to them, they would have...
I did.
Why don't you let me finish?
Okay, I'm sorry, but...
They would have included that in the police report.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you find out he was 20 years old?
Today.
So now you know. You know that he's a baby and you're not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 22-year-old waitress Diane Grove is suing 33-year-old human resource manager Cecilia Alvarado for knocking out her teeth with a beer bottle.
So let's continue.
I stepped back, and it was just self-defense. After I had my hand like this, and her beer bottle hit my hand, I was trying to protect myself. And from just a reaction of you know, someone attacking you, what are you supposed to do? And I was scared. I just closed my eyes and went like that. I didn't even realize I had hit her that hard, Your Honor. I would never have struck her. I felt bad after the incident. I was crying. Yes, I was hysterical because I was having a good time on a Monday night with my friends. She approached me, Your Honor. This isn't the first time she's, you know, antagonized me. Okay, and those harassment calls, they've harassed me, and they even threatened me as I was leaving, and my witness was with me in the car, and I was holding onto my head because I was crying, shaking. Diane, Ryan, and their friend Jimmy were threatening me, saying, watch your back, look out for yourself.
Were you a witness to the event, a witness to the actual event?
Yes, I was.
Step up. Tell me your name.
My name's Tanya.
Tell me what you observed on the evening of the 22nd of August.
Well, I told Cecilia, you know, for her to go ahead and get some beers because she was going downstairs. So then I went downstairs after she did, and then I'm like,
what?
To go see where she was. She was speaking with Diane, when all of a sudden I just see Diane's arm just strike right down, right on her head, and then I saw her hit her, and I didn't know if it was with a beer bottle or not. I just saw her strike her, and then after that, I just ran towards her, and then, you know, the bouncers and everybody was trying to tear them apart, and then that was it.
You went down to get more beers, right?
I went to go to the restroom also.
Okay, but you already had a beer in your hand. You told me you had a beer in your hand.
It was empty. It was almost empty.
Why don't you let me finish my...
I'm sorry. Okay.
You already said that you had a beer and that there was some left in it. Is that correct?
There was some left in it, yes.
Right. What time did you arrive at this bowling alley / pool hall?
We went to eat there first. It was around 7-ish, because we were there eating, and then we went upstairs to shoot pool.
When you were eating, did you have anything of an alcoholic nature to drink?
I had, well, we had a pitcher. That was it. And that was a pitcher of
beer.
Yeah.
While you were having dinner?
With food, right.
While you were having dinner. And then you went upstairs to shoot pool?
Right.
And how much did you have to drink when you went upstairs?
It was probably about one beer.
Maybe two?
No, it was just about one beer because we were going downstairs to get more.
All right, now let's get back to you, Miss Rowe.
Okay. First of all, she said that Ryan has a cell phone. He's never had a cell phone since we've been together. The concession stand is in the bowling alley, and she says she approached me at the concession stand.
Well, you have a couple of things to explain to me, madam.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay? You confronted her, and I'm not excusing if what you allege happened the way you alleged it to happen. I'm not excusing that. But you confronted her twice. Not once, but twice. You sought her out. Initially, you told me you went up to her, got in her face, told her to leave you all alone, and then you followed her again.
I didn't.
Yes, you did. You followed her again because you saw her talking to somebody at a table where you were going to be seated. According to you, this was somebody that you had had bad interaction with before. So both of those things weren't too smart. I will also tell you that the police officer, I'm going to get to her in a second, the police officer observed a fresh bruise on her hand. How do you think she got that? A large welt. How do you think she got that?
Maybe from pushing me, or, you know, when she fell back, or, you know, I pushed her back. Maybe her hand hit the table when she fell back. I don't know how she got a welt on her hand, but I didn't even have a beer. That's why Ryan was at the bar.
Just a second. So clearly there was a physical altercation between the two of you before anything happened with bottles, according to you. Is that right?
When we were at the table.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So there was a physical altercation. That must have been a pretty hard shove.
She hit me first. Was I not supposed to defend myself?
Where did she hit you first?
She pushed me in my chest, and I pushed her back.
No, okay, that's a push.
Okay.
That's not a hit. How did she get the welt on her hand?
I'm really not sure how she got the welt on her hand.
You certainly confronted her on both occasions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart. Now, my next question to you, Miss Alvarado, is this incident is over and you're hysterical. You're all upset, right?
Right.
So what's the first thing that you do? You go to your phone and you call him.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you
No,
did.
I didn't, ma'am.
Oh, well, according to the police, you did.
They threatened me as I was leaving, and...
They may have threatened you. The police say that they listened to the message over the phone.
Okay.
And heard you say, Ryan, this is Cece. Remember that?
Yeah, I guess.
Why don't you tell her what we did a month ago? Does that sound familiar? My question to you is, after you're so upset and distraught, why do you continue with this by picking up the phone and calling him?
Because Your Honor, this has been going on for like 2 months. He is.
When did you find out he was 20 years old?
Ma'am.
When did you find out he was 20 years old?
Today.
So before today, you thought he was 22?
That is what he told me.
Okay, so before today, you thought he was 22. And he's got a 20-year-old girlfriend. And you're 33 years old.
I thought she was 23.
Pay attention. So now you know. You know that he's a baby and you're not. So this terrible thing happened at the bar. Why are you continuing it by calling him on the phone?
I didn't continue calling him on the phone after this incident 4 times.
Are you telling me that this phone call the police? Are you telling me the police are making up this phone call that they heard?
I'm not.
So you did call him.
But they called me at work also to harass me, and I have
I'm not
proof
talking
of
about
that.
at work. I'm talking about immediately after this incident on the 22nd. You got home and you called him.
I called him, but I didn't call him 4 times.
I didn't say 4 times.
Okay,
I said 4
well,
times. They said 4
that's
times. I
what
said
I'm
once.
thinking.
Pay careful attention.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She knew I was 20.
She thought you were 22. To me, there's no difference. You're a baby when you're 20 if you're a boy. You're a baby when you're 22 if you're a boy. And sometimes when you're 52 if you're a boy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diane Bro says her front teeth were knocked out during a fight with Cecilia Alvarado. The women say the fight was over a man.
Why did you call him one time when you got home?
Because I was angry. I was really upset about this whole situation.
Well, right now, you're in a situation where you caused her substantially more injury than she caused you.
And I was sorry.
You are at the
I'm
police,
sorry
so
for
you
it.
didn't call up and say, I'm sorry. You called up and said, hey, why don't you tell her what we did a month ago and all the other stuff?
Because, Your Honor, I was upset about it because if it wasn't for him leading me on and telling me that their relationship was nothing, then I wouldn't have gone after him. I wouldn't have talked to him.
Let me see the dental reports.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
I've met Cecilia before, like probably a month before Diane became my girlfriend. And, you know, the whole time, you know, she knew I was 20. All my friends know I'm 20.
Don't tell me what she knows.
Okay.
Did you?
And
she thought you were 22. To me, there's no difference. You're a baby when you're 20 if you're a boy. You're a baby when you're 22 if you're a boy. And sometimes when you're 52
She called
if
me
you're a boy.
nonstop. She called me at my place of employment. They told me at work that if she continues on calling, they're going to write me up because she called me nonstop.
She's a little fanatic.
Yeah, and she called my house nonstop, paged me nonstop.
Ryan, pay careful attention. She may be a little bit of a nut. And I don't know, and I'm not interested in knowing what happened a month before.
Okay.
You know, and she knows. Maybe your girlfriend doesn't know, but you know, and she knows. She should have been smart enough when she figured out how old you were and that you're a baby to back off and find somebody that's more age appropriate, because there is no difference between 20 and 22. You got to find somebody who's 35, because this is not an appropriate match for you. A 20-year-old doesn't lead on a 33-year-old if they have any brains.
And me and Diane have also told her, you know, together that we don't want nothing to do with her if she's going to continue on like this. You know, me and Diane sat there and told her to leave us alone.
Try Diane and I.
Okay, Diane and I.
I just had to do that.
Sorry.
You understand?
Your Honor.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You're supposed to be a mature adult. You're 33 years old.
Your Honor, she hit me over the head. What was I supposed to do?
I don't believe she, listen to me. I don't believe she hit you over the head.
Yes, she...
No, listen to me. I believe she pushed you. I believe you pushed her. I believe you shoved her. I believe all of those things, but I do not believe that she hit you over the head with a beer bottle and that you had blood in a bump, because if you did, the police would have memorialized that in a very, I'm speaking, don't look pained to me, in a very detailed police report. I believe that. Now, I don't believe that you are blameless. I believe that you were involved with this incident and that you should not have confronted her. Your actual out-of-pocket expenses are $41.82.
I did miss 4 days of work.
Listen to me.
Okay.
You have to find that you are somewhat responsible for what happened. Because if you had stayed away from her, it wouldn't have happened. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
He's a big boy. If he wants to tell her to stay out of his life, he can do that. if he wanted to be stupid enough a month ago to do whatever he did a month ago that he hasn't shared with you, right? That's something that he's going to have to deal with if he acted like a fool. But you didn't have to go to her twice, especially since she had had a lot to drink that night. She got there at 7 o'clock. They had a couple of pitchers of beer, not just one.
No,
they
no.
drank. I'm speaking. I'm not stupid. I've lived a long time. I've lived longer than 33 years. Okay? You got there at 7, and this was 12 o'clock at night. You already had one beer bottle in your hand, right? You were down to get another one, and I assure you that that was not the first one that you consumed while you were upstairs playing pool. And you also consumed beer while you were having dinner, according to you, one pitcher. In any event, you're going to pay for her dental work. She's going to pay for her pain and suffering and for her missed work. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,182. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She had threw me over a table at another bar, and I did nothing about it.
The woman's crazy. It's like a fatal attraction case. I picture her breaking into my house, hiding in my closet, and watching us have sex. That's how crazy she is.
I don't know if I trust guys anymore.
I'll recycle seed back home.
Construction worker Thomas Schmerzel is suing his neighbors, 20-year-old student Charisse Baucom and her father Mike Baucom, for having him falsely arrested. Charisse is countersuing, claiming Thomas threatened to kill her.
Now, this is case number 293 on the calendar in the matter of Schmerzel versus Baucom. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Schmerzel, the defendants live in close proximity to where you do. I don't know whether they're immediate neighbors or not, but according to your complaint, you were having a big party. And the party was in the afternoon. On what date was this event?
I don't know the exact date, but I know it was a Saturday.
We have a lot of Saturdays every year, sir. Could I have a month or a year or something that would be more definitive?
Okay, let me just look in this paper. It says...
The questions are going to get harder, Mr. Schmerzel.
Okay. Looks like the 21st of August.
And you and friends, how many friends did you have at this party?
20, 25 maybe?
Was this gentleman one of those people?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he a relative of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he your
brother?
Brother. At some point, this young lady came to your home and asked if you could turn down the music. Are your hands in your pocket, sir?
Yeah.
Because the music was loud. At some point, the police came and arrested you. You are suing both this young lady and her father for having you falsely arrested, and also for embarrassing you, because as a result of this false arrest, there was an article published in the local paper about you that was very embarrassing. Ms. Baucom and her father said everything that they told the police when they called to complain about you was true, that you did in fact threaten her, and that Ms. Baucom is suing for emotional distress. Her emotional distress is she's afraid of you. She's afraid because of what happened, you're going to come back and hurt her. That's, we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, okay. August 21st, 2003. What kind of a party was it, Mr. Schmerzel?
Family outing at my house. We have 2.5 acres together. I mean, I do and they do too.
Okay. And what kind of music was playing?
Country music.
Was it loud?
Probably so, yeah.
And what happened when Miss Baucom came to your house? Did she see you?
Yeah, she came up to me first.
And what did she say to you?
She said, Tom, could we turn the music down a little bit, you know, because I'm studying. And I just looked at her and says, you gotta be kidding me, girl. It's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No, I've done this, known their family ever since, I've been out there since '78. I just said, no, I'm not gonna turn my music down. It's not that bad. And she was leaving, and then somebody said something to Mike's daughter.
What did they say to you?
They called me a...
Well, when she came up to the house, was she yelling? I mean, you weren't yelling when she said, she said just, Tom, could you turn down the music, right?
Yeah.
And how far, just answer my questions. How far was she, do me a favor, Bird, would you put him outside until I'm ready to call him as a witness?
Step out.
Thank you, Bert. He was slouching.
Definitely.
It was an attitude slouch. You've seen that slouch before?
Oh, yes, many times.
We'll adjust it. So she came up to you very quiet. She was quiet. She said, Tom, I'm studying. Now, when you responded to her, did you respond to her in the same tone as she spoke to you?
Normal talking tone, like...
Is that right?
Yes.
So how come these other people were involved in the discussion?
They heard her. I mean, it's not like it's...
She wasn't screaming or anything.
No, none of us were screaming, but you could hear
Well,
it.
so then you would say, Mr. Schmerzel, that the people who called her a name were being rude.
No.
No? What would you think they were being? Stupid?
She was come over here complaining, and there was nothing really to complain about.
Sure there was. The music was loud enough for her to hear it, and she said she was studying. She didn't come over and scream at you. She didn't call the police. She came over quietly and asked you very politely if you could turn down the music. Now, you may feel as if you have the right to play music as loud as you like, right? And so that's an issue. But nobody has the right to call her a name. I mean, they have a right to call her a name, but they would either be stupid if they did, or they would be aggressive if they did, or they would be drunk if they did. Now, which was it?
I don't know if anybody called her a name. All I know is...
Trust me, they called her a name. I want you to start with that premise, Mr. Schmerzel. They called her a name.
Okay.
So were they stupid? Or were they drunk?
Probably stupid if they did it that way.
How much had you had to drink in the 2.5 hours that your party was going?
I think the whole night, because I got arrested probably...
Not night, day.
Maybe on my second beer.
Okay.
Something like that.
Maybe your third?
No.
Maybe your first?
Could have been the first.
But certainly not your third.
Because I only had like 3 beers the whole day.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I opened the door, and he said, if you ever call the cops on me again, I will kill you.
Don't get upset. Listen to me. This man is not going to hurt you.
And later,
He hates my guts.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Thomas Schmerzel says he was arrested because of false complaints made by his neighbors. Sharice Baucom claims Thomas threatened to kill her.
Okay, so these people called you a name, and you went home.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do?
I called the police department, the Poway Police Department.
And what did you say to them?
I told them that the neighbor was disturbing, his stereo was incredibly loud, and if they could do anything about it. And they said, yes, we can come over and ask him to turn it down.
And that's what they did?
And that's what they did. They came over.
Okay. Police came over?
But she's not totally right what she said before. She came back because she accused my son's girlfriend of calling her a...
Yes.
So they had a confrontation. I just stopped and I said, listen, you two shut up, and I think you better get off my property because you're offending my little
Is that
party.
what happened?
No.
What happened?
She called me. I was almost back onto my property. There was probably about 25, 30 feet between us. I turned around and said, excuse me? And she said, I didn't say... And I said, really? Because it sounded like you called me. And she said it again. She said, I didn't say... So I said, fine, and I walked back to my house.
That sounds right.
Okay. Well.
Now.
Yes.
She went back to the house. She called the police. Police come to your house and say what?
So what do you know, what's the problem? He says, well, I don't have no problem with it, but somebody's complaining about your loud music. I go, okay, because I know she came down, so I figured it was her, but I'm not going to push you. So I said, okay, so I went upstairs, turned it down a couple notches, and he said, fine, and he went on his nice way. He was a nice police officer.
Okay, so then what did you do after he left?
I'm going to say 5:30, maybe 6. I went and took the pig out of the ground because I put a little pig in the ground for our...
I don't hear you.
Huh?
About 5:36, you lost me. I didn't hear what you said.
I put a pig in the ground.
What do you mean you put a pig in the ground?
An animal, like, you know, a pig.
Why'd you put a pig in the ground? Oh, a barbecue.
Yes.
Not a live pig. A dead pig.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we went to get the pig out of the ground, and then we were going to go over and eat. And while they were doing that, I said, I think I like, you know, to myself, not to nobody else. I just took off on it and said, hey, I'd like to go talk to nothing disgraceful to Mike, but on the mountain there we call him Fat Mike, or, you know, it's not being mean to him or nothing. He knows that. I just said I need to go talk to Fat Mike, see what's going on, because, you know, the cops come down here.
So this is after you had your third beer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And were these little teeny weeny beers, medium-sized beers, or big beers?
I think they're 12-ounce cans.
Okay. So while they're cutting up the pig and everybody is having, you decide to go over and speak to Fat Mike.
So she came to the door, and I told her, like, if you're going to call the cops on me, it'd be nice for you to let me know. And then I did use a bad word. I said effing, and I said, ooh, caught myself, says, you know what? I don't need to talk to you no more. I want to talk to your dad. But I knew there was a car in there, so I said, hey, I'll talk to him Sunday. And I walked away.
All right, Miss Balcom. Now, why don't you tell me your version of what Mr. Schmerzel said when he came to your house?
First of all, he's confused. The date was actually July 19th, and I have the police report to prove it.
So he's only a month and some off.
Yes.
Not.
Well, it says on my thing here, 7/28, and that was, oh, I'm not going to interrupt.
7 is July.
Okay.
8 is August.
Okay.
Why don't you tell me what happened when he came to the house about 6 o'clock, Miss Balcom?
He knocked on my door very loudly, and I opened the door, and he said, if you ever call the cops on me again, I will kill you. Do you hear me? I will kill you. I will f you up so bad. I get your dad down here, get your boyfriend down here. I will f them up too. I will kill you. And then he left.
And then he left.
During the whole conversation, my friend, I was on the phone with her, and I have records to show.
I just want to see the police report. Miss Balcom.
Sure.
Don't get upset. Listen to me. This man is not going to hurt you. This man is not going to hurt you. You know what happens to him? He gets stupid when he drinks.
I'm very aware of that.
He gets stupid. And his family gets stupid. His brother may get stupid when he doesn't drink, because I watched him. You don't have a case against the defendant. I'm going to look at the article that you have. The article reported that you were arrested for threatening her. Is that what you're talking about?
All I have evidence is the money I paid to bail out of jail.
I don't care what you paid to bail out. You lost your temper. You went over to her house and you threatened her. And you had too much to drink. And her version of what you said to her was absolutely accurate. You were annoyed, you had a little time, and you went over there and you mouthed off at her, and you had no right to do that.
I did not threaten her.
Yes, you did. And she was frightened, and she called the police. You deserve it. Shame on you. Your case is dismissed. Now, let me get to your counterclaim. He's not going to do anything to you. I know that you may feel frightened, but you don't get compensated for that. That you feel as if you're uncomfortable being around him, you're uncomfortable that he might come to your house again. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I have a feeling when he behaves properly, when he hasn't been drinking, that he's a pretty mild guy. And if he's not, and if he should come to bother you again, now he has a history.
Yes.
He has a record, which would be very, very unfortunate for him. You got it? Good. So, your claim is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This has been going on for years. That's why there's no neighbors here for witnesses, because every neighbor, I canvass the neighborhood, everybody out there is afraid of him.
I never threatened that girl. Ain't gonna do no good to hit a girl.
He's an alcoholic. He drinks all the time. He's going to come over and he's going to do it again.
Heck, he's built half the houses in that county. You know, I mean, we've been friends with Mike. They used to raise kids together. It's ridiculous.
He's always said that he's lived there longer than us, but with all his incarceration time, we've actually lived there longer. So maybe he'll have more incarceration time and we will live peaceful lives.
18-year-old waitress Nicole Michaud is suing former friend, 18-year-old cashier Danielle Faria. Nicole claims Danielle tampered with her hair conditioner, causing her hair to fall out.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 236 on the calendar in the matter of Michaud versus Faria. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Michaud, according to your complaint, you and the defendant had at one time been friends, and then there was some sort of a tiff over a boy. But there came a time when you were sort of having a girls' beauty day. You were at a friend's house, the defendant was there, everybody decided to color their hair. According to you, the defendant applied a hair dye on your hair. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then you stayed home, and she and some of the other girls went out to get some other products. They were gone for a couple of hours. You rinsed out the hair dye. Everything was fine. They came back. The defendant put a conditioner on your hair, and then all your hair fell out. Right?
Correct.
So you are convinced that she put something in this conditioner that caused your hair to fall out?
Yes.
What kind of hair product did you use? Was it a product that you had used before? The
Yes.
dye?
The dye was the exact same dye as I had used 3 months prior to this.
The same one?
The same color, the same everything.
Okay, and how long did you leave it on?
45 minutes, like it said on the box.
And you rinsed it out?
And I rinsed it out.
And then you just sat around the house and waited for them to come back?
Well, I was watching her daughter. They stopped at McDonald's or something, I don't know. I was watching her daughter, and I was just rinsed the conditioner, well, the dye out of my hair, and waited for them to get back. And then
What happened when they got back?
She came, and she had 2 little travel-sized bottles of conditioner. She gave one to Karen and one to me. She asked Karen to put it on her hair, and she told us to put it on her hair for as long as we could stand it. Now, I'm not sure what that meant, but once we put the conditioner on her hair...
Well, did you look at the travel-sized bottle of conditioner?
Yes. It was the exact same. I've used that conditioner before. It was the exact same kind as she was using.
Right. And did you open it yourself?
No.
Who opened it?
Danielle.
Were you there when she opened it?
Yeah, I was there when she opened it.
And you had used that conditioner previously and nothing had happened?
Correct.
And you put it on your hair and what happened?
I let it sit for a little while and then it started to burn. And Karen went into the bathroom to rinse that conditioner because she had it on her hair too.
Step up here, please. You're Karen?
Yes.
Karen, when you put the conditioner on your hair, did it burn too?
No.
It didn't burn at all?
Nope.
Had you ever used that conditioner before?
No.
But you went to rinse yours out.
Yes.
Why?
Because she said her head started to burn, so I was scared that it might have a reaction with my head, so I went to rinse my hair out, and I rinsed it out, and it was just conditioned.
What happened when you went to rinse yours out?
Well, I went into the bathroom to rinse it out, and I put my head under the drain. I was standing in the bathtub, and I looked down at my hands, and there was hair in my hands, but I thought it was just because I had dyed it, and maybe someone died, right? But then I came to the conclusion that when I dyed my hair, it was fine. When I rinsed the hair dye out, it was fine. All of a sudden, it started coming out in clumps, like the whole bathtub, the whole bathroom was covered in hair. My hands were full of hair.
How long was your hair?
Short, but...
Okay.
It didn't come out at the root. It came down to like a little stubble. And for 3 days, it just kept coming out more and more. Every time I washed it, every time I brushed it, it just kept falling out and falling out and falling out. Until I had a burnt spot in my head that would stretch about that far.
Did you take the bottle of conditioner?
No.
Why not?
Because the garbage had gotten emptied out with the bottle of conditioner in it right after it happened.
Well, wouldn't it have been wise to save that bottle? Once you saw all your hair falling out in the drain.
It did cross my mind, and I went to look in the garbage, but it had been emptied already.
Who emptied it?
Karen.
Where did she put it?
Oh, I had emptied the garbage can because we had dyed our hair and used the same garbage can. So I have a 3-month-old downstairs, so there's like all the chemical stuff in one garbage can. So after we had put our conditioner out and it started to smell, I took it out, tied it up in a bag, and put it in the garage outside.
Okay, so there was no reason why you couldn't go get that vial from the garage outside, right?
Right.
Well, why didn't you think about doing that?
Because I wasn't really convinced yet that she had done it. Like, I was suspicious, but I wasn't really convinced that she had done it.
Okay. So now you're having a reaction and your hair is coming out in clumps as you're rinsing it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not convinced that she did it. What convinced you, according to you, that she had done it?
Well, once I stopped to think about it, she's cut my hair before, and it looked not so great. And she went to Karen and to my boyfriend Brian and said, well, I cut her hair like that so she'd look stupid so Brian wouldn't want her. And not only that, but a friend of ours was sleeping on the couch one night, and she said she was envious of her hair.
Just a minute. Is this something that you heard or that somebody told you?
Well, she said it to her.
What did she say?
She said that Nicole asked her to cut her hair, and she cut her hair, and she said that she purposely messed it up because Brian told her to do it, to make her look ugly.
Now, did you go to the store with her?
Yes, I did.
And how many other people went to the store with her?
It was me, Danielle, and Jamie, who is a friend of ours. He was at the house that night.
What store did you go to?
We went to Walmart.
Were you all together?
Yes.
Were you all together when the conditioner was purchased?
No. Me and Jamie took some of the stuff that she wanted to buy. She said she wanted a phone card for her phone. So we went to the electronics section to get her phone card while she was purchasing everything else she had bought that day.
Who carried the bag with the conditioner and all the other stuff?
Danielle.
Now, when you got back, who took out the conditioner bottles from the bag?
Danielle.
Did they look exactly the same?
Yes.
Was there any indication that either one had been tampered with?
No.
Did you see both bottles?
Yes.
They were both the exact same bottles?
Yes. Travel size conditioners. Same kind, everything.
So when they were taken out of the bag, do you remember this when she took them out of the bag?
No, I wasn't there when she took them out of the bag. Like, we had everything set up in the bathroom, but the problem was I have a 3-month-old, so we couldn't all just be in the bathroom at the same time. So she went downstairs first, and I went downstairs. Jamie was already downstairs, and Nicole was already downstairs because she was there. We had just gotten back. I went into the bathroom. The bottles were already out of the bag. They were on the counter. She grabbed one. She said, here, you got to put this on your hair. You got to put it on your hair dry, like instead of having the water in it. So I'm like, okay. So I put it on my hair. No big deal. Just left it in my hair.
How many other items were purchased that day?
There was the 2 bottles of conditioner, a phone, 1 or 2 phone cards for cell phone, a prescription, I don't know what it was though, from the pharmacy. And hair dye, her hair dye.
Whose hair dye?
Danielle's.
You didn't see any purchase of any hair remover or anything else, did you?
No, I just know what she said she had to pick up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did either of the 2 conditioners smell any differently when you put them on?
Not at first, but once we put them on our head, then my hair started to smell like if you were to light someone's hair on fire.
And later today,
we ended up filing a police report on Amanda Sheppy because she threatened to kill me.
Well, did she threaten you before or after you didn't pay the rent?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole Michaud says Danielle Faria tampered with her hair conditioner, causing her hair to fall out. Danielle denies the charge.
Well, Danielle, I have one question for you. Did you dislike her enough to put something in that conditioner that would cause her hair to fall out?
No.
Hmm?
No, ma'am.
What do you think might have caused her hair to fall out?
I'm not sure, but as soon as it started happening, I was the one who was on the phone to the hair dye company and to the conditioner. Karen was there when I was on the phone with them. I asked them, I said, this is what's happening, what can we do?
Is that true?
Yes. They said nothing. They said she must have just had an allergic reaction or something, because on every hair dye, the pamphlet where you get the gloves, says do a 48-hour allergy test.
Yeah, but she had already used this hair dye according to her before.
True.
Okay, but you actually got on the phone.
Yes, I did.
Did anybody suggest that you get the little bottle and find out anything about the bottle?
Well, no. The actual hair company that we used, the actual product, they were closed. Like when I called, this was at probably like 10 o'clock at night, they were closed. So I called L'Oreal, which was the product that I used, just the number off my box, and they're the ones who told me this, and they said just make sure she doesn't brush her hair or whatever. And the conditioner didn't even cross my mind, because conditioner, you wouldn't think it would do anything.
You told her to put it on and leave it on as long as you could.
Mm-hmm.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Just because that's what the lady at the Walmart told me when we were shopping. I didn't even remember, I didn't even think of getting the conditioner until we had talked to the cosmetician, whatever she's called, at the Walmart, and she had said that because Nicole wanted to dye her hair black, then put blonde peroxide streaks into it. So I asked her, I said, well, what can we possibly use I know her hair is going to be damaged either way, but what could we possibly use to at least save it a little bit? And that's what she gave me, was those 2 conditioners.
You know what your problem is? What you think, Nicole, may have happened. It is possible. But the one thing that you would have had to establish that Danielle did something purposefully to you is to have saved the bottle, right?
Yes.
Wasn't put in a trash compactor, it was just outside in the trash. All you had to do was open up the trash, dig in, find both bottles, because you don't know which one is which. You would have had both bottles, they could have been tested. to see if there was anything in there. Did either of the two conditioners smell any differently when you put them on?
Not at first, but once we put them on our head, then my hair started to smell like, if you were to light someone's hair on fire, that's what it started to smell like. The entire basement smelled like burned hair. And hers smelled fine, just smelled like regular.
And hers smelled fine?
Yeah.
What kind of dye did you put on your hair?
Same as hers, nice and easy.
Were you planning on putting blonde streaks in your hair?
I was, but I hadn't gotten that far yet, because she had given me the conditioner and said, if you put this on your hair, then it'll stop it from dyeing when you put the blonde streaks in. And so I did.
Do you understand what the problem is? I mean, what you're accusing her of is a serious, really a serious assault. Tampering with a product in order to cause danger to you. I don't know if that's true. I mean, she purchased the product. There was no indication that they were tampered with before it was put on your head. Is it possible that she went into the store, purchased these 2 vials, went over to a different area, picked up a hair remover, poured some out somehow, right? Filled up your bottle with, or part of your bottle with a hair remover. I mean, is that possible?
I think it is.
It's possible. It's unlikely that somebody wouldn't have seen all this activity going on in the store, right?
It's true, but we never really asked anybody in the store if they'd seen anything weird.
Well, if you never asked anybody, then that's your problem, because you're suing her. You go into the store and you ask a question, and you get the evidence. The proof is in those little bottles. But before I'm prepared to say that this young woman committed a felony, which is really what you're talking about, because that would have been a felony, I need more proof than that, and so does every other court. I think you look terrific. And it's going to grow. It's a style, anyway. Still have the same boyfriend?
Kind of, I guess. We still associate.
Okay, good. All I can tell you is, Miss Faria, if you did what she thinks that you did, if you did, that's a terrible thing. Unfortunately, she can't prove it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just excuse you. May step out.
Neil has a way of getting in and making everything look like it's okay for a little while, and then pushing everybody out and ruining everybody's life. Nicole has a way to turn everything. She's a drama queen. She screams it for attention, and she'll do anything to get it. I'm not going to let her touch my hair anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties on Bryant versus Williford. Step forward, please.
41-year-old homemaker Loretta Bryant is suing 40-year-old surgical technician Lori Williford. Loretta claims Lori's son, 17-year-old Matthew, assaulted her daughter with an ashtray.
Miss Bryant, you and the defendant at one point shared a home together.
No, ma'am. It was my daughter, Rhiannon.
Do you know anything about
I'm suing
this?
in behalf of my daughter because she's a minor child.
Okay, why don't you have a seat, please? Step up. You shared a home with the defendant.
Yes, ma'am, I did. Him and his girlfriend, Melissa.
Are you the mother, too?
I'm the mother, too.
Would you sit down? Stand up here. According to your complaint, an incident occurred where the defendant assaulted you with an object.
An ashtray.
Go ahead.
They had stayed out all night, him and his friend. Melissa was very worried. They came in. Matt proceeded to tell her that he did not love her. He did not want to be with her, and he wanted to move out. After we had spent all this money in getting a house, his friend was being very rude to me. He was calling me names, and I kicked him out of my house.
How did you do that?
I struck him in the head a few times.
With what?
And the phone. He had the phone in his hands.
So you struck his friend?
Yeah, his friend. I made him leave. I went back to my room. I heard one loud sound, and that was when ashtray hit my door. It made a hole in my door about this big around. I opened the door, and the other ashtray hit me.
Where did the ashtray hit you?
It hit me on my arm, right here. My arm immediately swelled up. The police came. They said seek medical attention. We did not press charges because that night Matt had said he was sorry and that he was going to pay my hospital bill.
How much was your hospital bill?
It was $225.
Was that an emergency room visit?
Yes, it was
Yes.
not the hospital. It was a place called EmergiCare. And it's just like a little facility where you go and reach medical attention right then and there.
Okay. What other bills did you have as a result of your injured arm?
I was out of work.
For how long?
2 days.
What was your wage each day? What did you take home each day?
I would say anywhere from $32 to $36 for both days together.
For both days? Let's hear it.
All right. I left the night before because of drug use had been going on. And I come back, and it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, me and my friend Jonathan. Her and Jonathan started saying something to each other, and he said some vulgar stuff to her. And she hit him in the head with the phone. I told her to get out my face. She went in the red room, and I was very frustrated.
So she got out of your face?
Yeah, right.
As you had requested?
Yes, ma'am.
Pick it up from there.
All right. I picked up an ashtray and threw it towards the door.
What'd you do that for?
I was mad.
Okay,
And
so you hit the door.
I hit the door, and I picked up another one and threw it the same direction. The door was closed, and then she opened the door and the ashtray hit her. I freaked out because, I wasn't trying to hurt nobody. And I took off out the door because I didn't know what to do.
So then you admit that you threw an ashtray.
Yes, ma'am.
The ashtray hit her in her arm.
Yes, ma'am.
You got scared and you left.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you pay the medical bill?
I did not have that kind of money at the time.
You want to say something? Yes. Go ahead.
I talked with Miss Bryant. She called me a few weeks after this happened, and I told her, I said, I do not have that kind of money. I'll be willing to work with you, but I don't have that kind of money. And she was just very ugly, cussing me out, and I said, whatever you got to do with this, go ahead and do. Because she was very vulgar to talk with.
No, ma'am, that's not how it happened. He agreed to pay her bill. 2 days later, he's like, I'm not paying it, do whatever it is you got to do. I called her on the phone, and yes, we did have some words, but she was just as heated as I was because we were both frustrated at the situation. I did not cuss her out. That's a barefaced lie.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why didn't you pay this bill?
I didn't feel responsible to have to pay it.
Why?
It wouldn't ever have occurred if she wouldn't have started it.
Can I see those ashtrays, please? Bird, thank you. Even though you didn't intend to hurt her, you intended to vent your frustration at the door, right?
Correct.
Which is the ashtray that hit you?
The blue one. It had charcoal on it.
Just a minute. That's a pretty heavy weapon. You could kill somebody with that?
I was not thinking at the time.
Right. Well, if you're not thinking, then you're acting stupid. And if you're acting stupid and you cause injury to somebody, you have to pay for it, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to say one thing to you. The person that you hit on the head with the telephone would have the same complaint about you. And the first person to use any physical force, was who?
That was me.
Right. Not smart. So the violence in that, the physical violence, Ms. Bryant, was started really by your daughter. Not against him, but against somebody else. You are clearly responsible for the injury to her arm. I don't have your friend Jonathan here, who was clobbered over the head, so I don't have to deal with that. Was there any repercussion as a result of that assault?
No, ma'am.
Jonathan just took care of the bump on his head, is that right?
Jonathan had a lot of personal problems anyway.
Well, being hit on the head with a telephone didn't help. All right, the bills that I see here are, together with the medical bill, $261. So what do you think that Matt should pay?
I think Matt should at least pay the bills. Pay what he agreed to pay.
Absolutely right. And for your day's wages. $261, judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
Kind of disappointed. I didn't think I should have to pay.
I'm just glad the whole ordeal's over. I'm glad we have our money. They need to realize there's consequences for their actions.
I'm just glad that Judge Judy saw through it and saw the fact that, yes, he did injure my daughter, and it was his responsibility to pay her medical bill.
33-year-old daycare provider Rhoda Wilson is suing mother of three, 23-year-old sales rep Adrian Dixon for slander and loss of work.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 93 on the calendar in the matter of Wilson versus Dixon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Miss Wilson, there was a time that you provided daycare for the defendant's 3 children. According to your complaint, as a result of some scandalous and slanderous remarks that the defendant made, you lost income.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And you want her to compensate you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your oldest daughter?
Yes.
And you have two little
Yes.
ones, toddlers.
Yes.
How many days a week did you take care of?
Sunday through Thursday.
From what time to what time?
From 6:30 to 3 o'clock.
You were going to work, I assume.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have children of your own?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
11 and 4.
When did the trouble begin?
March 22nd.
And tell me what happened.
Chantel had told me after
That's Chantel?
Yes. After I picked him up from the babysitter, from her house, she had told me that Rhoda had left him in the car alone while she went inside 2 stores, and she had the keys in the car. She had the car running also. She didn't wake up till 10 in the morning. I dropped them off at 6:30. They didn't eat breakfast. As soon as they woke up, she said, Rhoda said, come on, it's time to go. She didn't have my 1-year-old, she was 1 year, she was 1 then. She didn't have her in a car seat. She had my son. It wasn't in a car seat. He was in a, like a carrier, and she didn't have him strapped in. And Tiara, my youngest daughter, was sitting on Chantel's lap in the car. And she also didn't have my permission to take them from her house.
To take them off the premises?
Mm-hmm.
Had she ever taken them off the premises before?
Not that I know of, no.
Do you remember coming home and telling your mom about this car ride that you took?
Yes.
You want you to come up here so we can talk.
Yeah.
Tell me your name again.
Chantel.
And you're 9?
Yes.
What grade are you in school?
4th. I'm going to 4th.
You do well in school?
Yes.
Good. Tell me what you told her.
I told her that we woke up until 10 and we didn't...
What do you mean you woke up until 10?
I mean, Miss Rhoda woke up until 10. And
well, she didn't get up until 10. Who took care of you from 6:30 to 10?
Nobody. She just kept waking up and did checking on us.
Where were the babies?
Sleep. And somewhere I woke up. My sister was woke.
So you told your mom about this business in the car. Were you strapped in a car in your seatbelt?
No.
And what about your brother?
No.
And your little sister?
No, she was sitting on my lap.
How old is your little sister?
1. Now she's 2.
But at that time she was 1 year old.
Yes.
Now when you say she was sitting on your lap, were you sitting in the front of the car or in the back of the car?
Back.
And was she sitting on your lap when the car was moving?
Yes.
Have a seat over here with your mom. Okay. So after your daughter told you about this, what did you do?
I was mad, and the next day I went over there to get my son's pacifier from Rhoda.
And what happened?
She asked me how come I hadn't brought them, and I told her why, and we were arguing.
So the next day you didn't bring your children back?
No.
Did you file any report?
With the police and with the Gary County Health Department.
And when did you do that?
The health department, I did that the next day. The police, I think I did that about, I'd say 5 to 7 days after I had filed it with the health department.
Can you tell me why you, after you notified the health department, which I assume licenses you, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why you notified the police?
Because they didn't contact me back right away. I wanted to make sure that something would be done about it.
How many other children were in your care at the time you were taking care of Miss Dixon's children?
14.
14 children?
Yes, I did 18 hours straight, 7 days a week.
14 children?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're saying the same time. I'm sorry. It was my 4-year-old, my 11-year-old, the 13-year-old, and his brother David, which is 6 years old.
And her 3 children?
And her 3 children.
It's a lot of children to take care of. Okay, now is it that complaint to the health department and to the police department that you are complaining of today?
No, my complaint is, Your Honor, is the slander. She made a police report saying that I left her kids in the car by themselves and went shopping in Walmart. That's the complaint, Your Honor.
Yes.
That's the slander, and that's the slander that she spread it all over Junction City, stating that I left her kids in the car and went shopping in Walmart, and how she got my contract taken away from the state. She was bragging about that.
Well, let's go back a second, Miss Wilson. You did, in fact, go out to run a couple of quick errands with the children. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you supposed to take the children off premises in a car when you're taking care of them?
With the signed permission slip, Your Honor.
Do you have a signed permission slip from her?
No, ma'am.
So that you had no right to take them off the premises?
Verbally, she told me, she asked me if it was okay for her to work 2 hours overtime. The 2 hours overtime that I was working for her, Your Honor, was my off time. She called and asked about if it was okay for her to work 2 hours overtime. I said, yeah. I said, but I have to run a couple of errands. That's what I told her. But I said, yeah, you go ahead and work 2 hours overtime.
Did you have a signed permission slip from her to take her children off the premises?
No, ma'am.
The answer is no.
No, ma'am.
So you're not allowed to take her children off the premises?
Verbally? Well, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You took other children in the car with you, too, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children other than the defendant's children were in the car?
It was Xavier, the 13-year-old, David, my 4-year-old, and her 3.
So you had 5 children in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How many car seats did you have in the car?
I had 1 car seat.
And who was using that car seat?
The baby.
Which baby?
Romeo, the 12-month-old, was in the car seat.
That's her baby?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is the next oldest child?
The next oldest was her child, I guess she's 18 months.
Was that child in a car seat?
No, ma'am.
You know that's against the law.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I went in and out of those places, Your
Doesn't
Honor.
make any difference. You left 5 children in the car for a moment.
And later today,
Madam, why did you sign the back of the check?
Let me see, because I don't know.
It's a check made out to cash. You cashed the check.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daycare provider Rhoda Wilson says client Adrian Dixon damaged her reputation with slander. Adrian says Rhoda neglected her children.
Where was the first stop you made?
The first stop I made was at the cleaners, Your Honor.
You left 5 children in the car and ran into the cleaners.
It was driving cleaners, Your Honor. My car was right there by the door.
You left the children in the car for a moment.
With the 13-year-old.
For a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, where was the second place that you went?
The Quick Sack.
What is that?
That's a convenience store.
And what did you have to buy there?
The bread and the vanilla wafers for my PM snack.
And did you take all 5 children into that store with you?
No, ma'am.
So, Miss Wilson, you left the 5 children in the car alone. I don't have to go any further with you. Were you issued any sort of citation?
All they got me for was improper seat belting.
Did you take a plea? Or did you go to trial?
I went to trial, Your Honor.
Oh, you did. And you were found guilty?
Of not properly seat belting.
So you were found guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you were found guilty, Miss Wilson, you were found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, which means that you can't now bring this lawsuit against her for complaining about things, some of which you were found guilty of. And if your complaint, Miss Wilson, is that the defendant told people about it, she could do that.
Your Honor, I didn't leave her kids in the car by themselves and was shopping at no Walmart.
So you didn't go to Walmart, so you went to the cleaners and you went to get your vanilla wafers. What difference does it make?
I went in and out of those places, Your
Doesn't
Honor.
make any difference. Do you know how long it takes a child, a 4-year-old, to put a car in gear, even if there are no keys in the car? We haven't even gotten to the fact whether the keys were in or out of the car. Well, let's say you were smart enough to take the keys with you, which I'm not so sure about. And one of the children, one of the toddlers, got there and moved the gear shift so that the car was placed in drive and started to roll with 5 children in the car.
Your Honor, it was just that I volunteered to work 2 hours overtime for her, and it was my off hours. I was planning. I didn't need the jeans. I didn't need the jeans, Your Honor. I just needed the bread and the vanilla wafers, and I could have done that if I wouldn't have worked overtime.
Just a second. Then you say I can't work overtime. You don't take the job to work overtime, Miss Wilson, and then do the wrong thing. Yes. You didn't need the jeans, and you do without the vanilla wafers if you agreed to work 2 hours overtime. You were going to get paid for 2 hours overtime, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Miss Wilson, you don't have a case. The case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Come on. She slandered and lied about everything in a police report. Junction City is so small, it's like air freshener. You spray a little bit, it's all over. With a matter of seconds.
She's mad because she lost her contract and she can't get no more money for not doing the job that she was supposed to be doing. She was doing the job wrong.
अबे ओ बुढ़िया यार मैं ना फिलहाल फर्स्ट मेरी वीडियो है हेलीकॉप्टर मैनुअल तो मैं ज़रा इतना फ़नी ना मेरे से वीडियो बन रही है तो पहली वीडियो अब आपको ऐसे ही चलाना पड़ेगा काम देखते हैं कि ग्रैनी साहब कब आके धब्बा करते हैं थैंक्स ग्रैनी पीछे की तरफ गिर अब जल्दी से हमने पता करना है पहले इसको ड्रॉप करना है ये 2 मिनट हमारे पास रेंच उठाना है और ये आ गए हम नीचे यहाँ पे रेंच का यूज़ होता है अब आप कहेंगे कि मेरा गेम प्ले है तो मुझे हर एक चीज़ का पता है मुझे पता है इस वजह से क्योंकि मेरा कज़न खेलता रहता है तो मैंने अपने कज़न के गेम प्ले देखा हुआ ज़्यादातर तो इसलिए ना मुझे चीज़ों का ना पता तो है कि कौन सी चीज़ किधर यूज़ होगी कब यूज़ होगी तो बट गेम प्ले मैं पहली दफ़ा अपना रिकॉर्ड कर रहा हूँ और पहली दफ़ा इसको प्ले कर रहा हूँ बाकी अब मुझे इतना कोई प्रो प्लेयर ना समझिएगा मैं ज़्यादातर इन गेम्स वगैरह का मुझे इतना क्रेज़ है नहीं है बट GTA हो गई टेकन हो गई और हॉरर गेम हो गई जैसे कोई रेस्टोरेंट गेम हो गई सर्वाइवल गेम्स वगैरह ना ऐसी गेम्स मुझे पसंद है तो अगर आपकी कोई ऐसी पसंदीदा गेम है जिसका आप चाहते हैं कि मैं गेम प्ले बनाऊँ तो मुझे कमेंट में बताइएगा अभी फ़िलहाल हम इसको ओपन कर देते हैं और जो ग्रैनी का पेट है आ गया ये मुझे पता नहीं क्यों बहुत ज़्यादा लगता है सॉरी बेटे मैंने जाग गई होगी मुझे लग रहा है अगर तो जाग गई ना तो फिर मेरी तो गई बेटा मेरे तो लग गए Hey Granny, I'm waiting for you. Auntie, where are you? Come and play with me hide and seek. Play hide and seek with me, Granny. Oh बुढ़िया बुढ़िया मेरी बहन के गले में खराश है उसकी खराश खत्म नहीं हो रही मेरी वीडियो खराब करेगी ओ बुढ़िया अबे ओ बुढ़िया किधर है बे तू बुढ़िया ओ बुढ़िया फर्स्ट वीडियो मेरी माशाल्लाह से इतनी लंबी हो गई है बढ़िया सॉरी बट ग्रैनी आई लव यू बट दिस टाइम आई हेट यू क्योंकि इस टाइम मुझे तुम बिल्कुल भी अच्छी नहीं लग रही और जब मैं सेफ की मिली थी किधर यार सेफ की किधर गई अब इधर तो ड्रॉप की थी ये रही सेफ की मिल गई हमें और इसकी सेफ में भी सेकंड फ्लोर पे थी सेकंड फ्लोर पे जाकर पहले सेफ तो इसकी ओपन करें सेकंड फ्लोर पे में भी यहाँ पे थी सेफ इसकी ऐसे ही कुछ था यहाँ नीचे सेफ हाँ यहाँ तो ग्लोबल मिला हमें बस उसकी सेफ किधर गई मैं कुछ मिस तो नहीं कर रहा बेओ भाई नहीं सेफ किधर गई सेफ नीचे मेन डोर के सामने डोर है सेफ का। कितना भुलक्कड़ हूँ मैं। यहाँ पे है सेफ। कोई नहीं, खुल के कर लो। मेरे व्यूवर्स को पता है, जितने मेरे सब्सक्राइबर है, कि मेरी इकलौती बहन को कफ लगी हुई है, उसकी तबीयत खराब है। एक तो ना मुझे इतनी देर बाद गेम खेलने का मन किया तो मैं गेम खेलूं, बट मेरे नेल्स बहुत लंबे हैं यार, जिसकी वजह से मेरे से गेम खेली नहीं जा रही। गाइस हमेशा एक बात याद रखिएगा, ग्रैनी के आने का कोई टाइम नहीं है। ग्रैनी के उठने का टाइम तो हो गया। मैं भी ग्रैनी उठ गई हो। मैं भी क्या उठ गई है। यहाँ से भी दबा किया ग्रैनी ने मेरे कज़न के साथ 2 दफा, इसलिए मैं तो बच के जाता हूँ। और ग्रैनी उठ चुकी है। अब ग्रैनी आपको नजर आएगी यहाँ पे। वो देखें, ग्रैनी इज देयर। ए ग्रैनी, अबे ओ बुढ़िया। अब आप कहेंगे इतना प्रोफेशनल शॉट कैसे मारा, तो अब आप मुझे इतना भी हल्के में ना लीजिए। इतना तो प्रोफेशनल हूँ ही मैं, देख के गेम प्ले देख